What's up, everybody? My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. I'm a what is it? And I'm a highly sought-after dinner guest. Who knows the show? Who knows the show? Very obscure quote. I'll be very impressed. Thanks for coming. If it's your first time here, Hold on. Let's make sure. Okay, hey, everything's working. Cool. Daytime stream. Why is it a little yellow? Let's get a little more daylighty in here. Yeah, that's all right. That'll work. Thanks for coming. We're going to fix some stuff today. I'm going to answer some questions. But first, who's in the chat? Looks like Big Willie FPV and Brent Vogelslang. Funkzilla is here. Cody Essay is here. Cool Coyote, Doom 239, Dronin' Man, Eskrace, Floppy Props, and Wobbly Wheels, FPV Wannabe, Furcan 10KY, Gapman FPV, John Dyson, License to Drive, Mr. Flymenko, Mr. Tux, Mr. Huggy, Noah Like the Ark, Own Drone, Panic FPV, Patrick Ruan. I see my lovely wife lurking in the background. Nothing gets by me. I am a ninja. Own Drone, Panic FPV, Patrick Ruan, Pedro Tomei, Private Island FPV, Props Off, Rafael Sepulveda, I think I might have gotten that right, Rawpex FPV, Sterling Youngman, Steve FPV, Travis Cook, VR Man 3D, and wow, how do you say that? YIGIT space YILMAZ. I'm going to leave it at that because if I pronounce it, I'll probably offend someone. Let me get my other light source up here. Hey, that's better. Well, cool. Let's do some things, guys. Let me check the chat first to see what we got. If you want me to see your chat message, here's what you have to do. You have to type the @ symbol and then CiottiFPV. I guess it would be this way, which is the name of this channel. When you do that, it'll highlight your comment in orange for me so I can actually see it. Especially when I'm trying to get some work done. The chat goes a little bit too fast for me to catch everything. So yeah, tag me and I'll see it. If you don't tag me, I probably won't see it, but the regulars here and the patrons might have your back. Patrons, I'm looking at you. Do me a favor, when you see a good question, when you see somebody ask something twice, copy it, paste it, give them credit, and tag me so I can see it. And yeah, also, trust the folks in this chat. If you're new here, there's a couple hundred people that show up here in this chat at different times that are really, really smart. They've learned a lot, but they've brought a lot to the table in general. So yeah, we try to hive mind stuff here as much as possible. I don't claim to be the person that knows absolutely everything. There are plenty of you folks that know more on certain topics than me, and I want to take advantage of that. So yeah, trust the folks in the chat that are giving you answers, especially if you get the same answer twice from the chat. That's probably a good sign that it's a dead-on, solution for you. But if you tag me, I'll see your comment, and then I'll give you my opinion as well. Mr. Tuck says that he still has to get something to eat. Please don't talk about the Runcam Hybrid or Emax Eco Motors until I'm back. Deal, Mr. Tux. What else do we have? Looking for that orange tag. Steve FPV says, what's up? See, even if you just say what's up, if you tag me, I'm going to see it. So that opening video was in Buckhead, downtown Atlanta. We had full permission to fly there. And that was actually pre-quarantine, believe it or not. That was a few months ago. That was maybe like January or February. And yeah, we just had spotters and we were just careful. I never really got up on any of those buildings super close to where I'd be worried about, bouncing off of it and slamming down to the concrete. But even if we had, we'd have been all right. So yeah, fun time. When you're flying big stuff like that, even now with the quarantine, just back yourself off a little bit. That was me at about, 8/10 out of 8 out of 10, right? And yeah, a couple little passes I got a little bit close to the buildings, but those were very controlled. They were situations where I was sliding slowly back towards the building, and all I had to do was stab the throttle to get myself off of it. So yeah, be smart when you're flying. No reason to go totally nutso in unrecoverable spots. especially spots like that where the spot itself is an amazing subject, right? You don't have to work so hard at a spot like that, right? Like when you're diving a building, something that drives me crazy is when people flip and spin and roll all the way down the side of the building, and because it kind of takes away from the subject, which is the building, right? It's so fucking cool that you're diving down the side of a building. Just dive down the side of the building. Just get nice and close. Maybe do it inverted if you want to do something, but just leave it. Leave it level, or put like the tiniest little bit of stick input, so that your subject, the building, the super gnarly thing that you don't get to fly all the time, right, is the amazing thing. And yeah, let the video speak for itself. We don't always have to work so hard. That's one of the reasons why I love chasing drift cars, because they're such an interesting subject that I don't really have to work all that hard. I can just keep them in the viewfinder and stay as close as I can to them. And I say viewfinder because I'm used to taking stills of motorsports, but now it's video. So yeah, just staying as close as possible and not losing them during transitions is like the hardest work that you have to do when you've got an interesting subject like that. So there you guys go. There's some flying tips from your boy. What else do we have going on in the chat here? Gapman FPV says that he hopes I'm well. I am well, man. I hope you're well too. Brandon Bentley says that Loctite 648 worked well for the slipping motor shafts, but it seized in seconds. Almost effed it up. Loctite 641 is what I'm going to use next time. Website says it cures slower. That sucks, man. Yeah, that's what I've always been worried about, though, with exactly that repair, and it's why I've just tossed those motors. But I hope you keep at it, and I hope you give us some feedback, because that's super cool of you. That with the quarantine and with nobody shipping, well, not nobody shipping, but shipping is kind of a pain in the ass right now. I think, and this reminds me, I think that it's really nice for us to keep hive minding how to repair stuff. And so check this out. Check this out, folks. One of the perks with Patreon, for as little as 10 cents a day, which is $3 a month, that gets you in the door. You don't get entered in any of the giveaways if you do that, but it gets you in the door. Lots of really good tech over there. Lots of other fun benefits, but here's one of the benefits. I think if I hit this button, it'll switch the screen in the background. Nope, that's the wrong button. How about that one? Hey, that's the one. Make sure I didn't lose my mic. All right. Here is one of the benefits. I give you the link to this private Facebook group, and you can come hang out with us 181 fellow lunatics. And check this out. So, Seth Robinson, we were hanging on Discord the one night, and I asked Seth to do this. So he put up this awesome post here talking about what we're doing to extend the life of our gear. And it's been a couple weeks. I've been forgetting about it, but I'm not forgetting about it right now. So let's take a look. Seth has a couple of really good videos here on repairs, one of which is the motor bell repair. So let me drop these two into the chat. Give Seth, who is full CT, give Seth some props for some excellent little edits here that he made. They're not little. I don't know why I said that. That was possibly insulting. For that, I apologize, Seth. Here we go. Let's work through them, though. Again, we're hive minding shit. You guys are smart. I love to use your guys' ideas as much as my own. So there's the two from Seth from Full CT. Here we go. Greg Letty says, lots and lots of heat shrink. But for real, though, conformal coating everything, even the stuff I haven't been feeling like conformal coating. Very, very true. I need to get a bottle of conformal. I've been very lucky so far in having rigs just this weekend, actually. I had one go fully submerged. I don't know where it is. I've had really good luck having rigs not conformal coated go fully submerged, as long as it's not salt water. Get them out, rinse them off, put them in front of a fan all night. Don't put power to them until it's been in front of a fan for a long, long time, and they've all come back to life. At this point, I don't think I have a single rig that hasn't been fully submerged at one time or another. But Conformal coating is really nice because it lets you do stuff like flying in the snow, flying in the rain, flying around wakeboarders maybe. They're kicking up a bunch of spray, waterfalls, stuff like that has spray. So yes, conformal, everything. There's kind of no reason to not conformal. I didn't realize, I always kind of thought it was a pain in the ass until I saw how Billy Supercell did it on this giveaway rig. And it just looks like he kind of slapped it on there, which, like, why wouldn't you? I always thought you had to be very precise and, like, it would take forever. But, yeah, just take it and slap it on, and what the hell? It's not hurting anything. It's not going to hurt the carbon. So, yeah, I got to get on that conformal game. Great idea by Greg Letty. Here's another really good one that I've been doing for a while that you guys have probably seen by now, but in case you haven't, shrink wrapping your antennas so that the little cap doesn't go flying off. Even on the toughest of antennas, the little caps, you can still lose the little caps. So all you have to do is exactly like what Greg Letty's showing you there. Throw a big old piece of, if you got a pagoda, put a big old piece of tape over it. Or even if you've got a little guy, just use a little piece of like shrink wrap. Doesn't add much weight and works shockingly well. I also put shrink wrap down here to shore up the joint between the actual UFL cable itself and the head of the antenna. But yeah, very important to prep your antennas if you plan on flying hard, because they take one hell of a beating and they're kind of expensive too, right? So yeah, heat shrinking pagoda hack. Since doing this, I've had way less broken pagodas, as have I, way less CP antennas. Also got better at flying since I was smashing my pagoda, since I was always smashing my pagoda phase. Seth Robinson checks in here with E6000 for everything. If you don't know it by its formal name, E6000 is also called Welder. And let's go back here. That's what Welder looks like. You can get it on Amazon or probably maybe Lowe's or Home Depot, possibly. I just get it on Amazon and it lasts a long time. You buy 2 little tubes and they'll last you forever. Well, not forever, but a long time. Right, Andy Baumgartner says, you can always have a kid. I promise it damn near turns your quads into 800-year-old vampires. Seth agrees with him. Tiago Ramos checking in and saying, in the group I have, we're selling stuff that we have a surplus of to keep others in the sky. Talking about what group? Brazilian FPV pilots. Here's what I got for you guys on that. The second super secret hidden Facebook website that you'll get access to is called CiottiFPV's Swap and Shop, with a really strange cover image. So this is what I got for you guys on Tiago's point of us all trying to keep each other in the air. A bunch of folks have been jumping in. It's Blunty jumping in to hawk that DJI controller. A lot more folks have been jumping into this group here to sell some stuff, to swap some stuff. I haven't seen any giveaways yet, but yeah, man, whatever you guys want to do over here in this group, take a couple minutes, list your stuff. There are not many people in this group. There's 48 members in this group, so it's a tight-knit little kind of community of people that I would hope, and I assume, and I really do think, are not going to screw each other over, because it's us, and we're a pretty unique group of folks that are this nerdy and geeky about micros and FPV in general, right? So yeah, that's what I got for you guys on that front. Excellent ideas. Anybody else that has ideas, definitely hop over there and add them, because Hive Mind. Maybe that's the shirt that we should get. Maybe we should get a Hive Mind shirt. That'd be kind of cool, right? Ciotti's group of merry Hive Mind bandits. Oh, okay. So this isn't a frame. That's that hasn't happened before. What? Why is that in the? Oh, because this. There we go. Strange that this is all of a sudden. Oh, because I usually put it there. There we go. Moving stuff around on the desk here, trying to get the laptop up to speed so I can. Whatever. What else do we have? I think let's just get caught up in the chat and then we'll start working on stuff. Drone and Man is looking for a good stable toothpick, any suggestions, anything and everything toothpick related, go to fpvcycle.com. That is Bob Rugi Kebab FPV's website. He is the one who pretty much created like the toothpick in its current form that we all know, and his frame is going to be the best. It's going to be the most R&D'd, the most yeah, it's the best frame out there. I don't care if you found one that's better. Bob is the one that made it, and they're all clones of his. So just buy it from him anyway. The frame is phenomenal. The TB3 frame is great. He's also got the baby tooth frame for 1S that's great. And on tomorrow night's stream at 10 o'clock Eastern, we will be giving away a baby tooth. I thought it was on the desk here, but apparently not. As well as a 3-inch micro brushless frame and a 5-inch frame to round up April, which was the month of frame giveaways. We gave away 3 frames every single Monday in the month of April. I was going to do a giveaway for this rig that was donated by Supercell, Billy, but as it turns out, the ESC is shot. It was dropping the left rear really hard at the end of backflips. So what happens during a backflip is when you initiate the move, the front motors spin up good and hard to start the rotation, and then they pretty much maintain a pretty low RPM to keep the roll spinning. But when you slam that stick back to center and you tell it you want it to stop immediately, in order to stop itself, it's got all this momentum, right? So it has to fire up the rear motors really hard in order to snap itself to a stop the way that we expect it to with a good tune, right? Nice and crisp. So to do that, it fires both of these rear motors pretty much up to full blast for a split second. And when it was doing that, it would drop the left rear arm. So when that happens, that means either the left rear motor or the left rear channel on the ESC are failing. So the easiest way to troubleshoot that is to desolder that left rear motor and desolder the right rear motor and just swap them. So that's what I did, and took it back out, did a backflip, and lo and behold, the left arm still drops, which means that the motors are fine because we moved the motors, right? But it means that this ESC channel is on its way out. So yeah, I'm going to have to tear this thing apart again and swap the ESC out. I also have to get an ESC for this, and it's going to have to be a big-ass ESC because these motors are humongous. These are T-Motor F80s, which is a 2408. These are 1900 kV, which on 6S is a shitload of RPM. So for a big, powerful motor like this, I'm going to have to get like a 50, 60 amp ESC to really handle it. You know, since I'm giving it away, I want to give it to somebody with the ability to pound on it. Like, I personally would probably be able to run a 35 amp ESC in this because I only do short little throttle bursts. But I don't know who's going to win this, what their style of flying is, right? If somebody just wants to put the nose down and hammer at full throttle for 2 or 3 seconds, I mean, if that's your fun, that's awesome. That sounds like fun to me, too. So, yeah, I want to set it up in a way that anybody can not worry about cooking the damn thing. So I don't think this is going to be ready for the 1st of May's giveaway. Previously, my plan was to do a giveaway for this on the first Monday stream of May, and I just don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately. But it kind of makes me think. So at 100, when we hit 100 patrons, I tried to give away a 3-inch rig, but then the flight controller blew up, and then I swapped another flight controller in, and I wired it wrong like a dummy, and then that one blew up, and then I had to wait for more flight controllers to come in, and now I finally have those flight controllers, so hopefully we can get the damn thing working on this stream right here today, right now. Well, not right now, but in a little bit. So for another goal on the patron channel, I have at 200 patrons, I'll give away another fully built rig, as well as the shirt off of my back. Since you guys dig my shirts, this is an autocross shirt. This is the face that the cones make when I used to be hauling balls at them in either my long-lost 96 Mustang Cobra or my 99 Miata. And yeah, much like much like with FPV where I crash a lot, with autocross, I wouldn't crash a lot because it's too expensive to crash, but I would go backwards in a plume of smoke a lot because much like with FPV, with autocross, it's not like cumulative. It's best run wins. So we would get, in my region, South Jersey region, we would get 6 to 8 runs per event, and I would basically not try to, but practically try to spin every single run but one, because all you need is that one flyer. All you need is that one really fast run, and you win. So, yeah, that was always my approach, was to not be consistent and to just go full ham and hope that I can put one together. And when I would put one, there were plenty of events where I would actually DNF every single run. But more often than that, I would get 1 or 2 clean ones in that were fast enough to do what was called paxing, which is there was a multiplier that would even up all the cars. So me in a Miata with a certain type of a build, the pax multiplier would even the playing field for me versus someone with a completely stock, I don't know, 2011 Mustang, let's say. And yeah, I would win a lot of events that way by just having 1 or 2 really fast runs. That is quite the tangent that you guys probably don't want to hear about. You want to hear about more FPV stuff. I think we're about... Oh, so what I'm thinking is this will be the 200 patron giveaway, because it is going to take me time to get the parts in, to install them, and then to get this thing tuned again. So that leads us to the race to 200. And I'm wondering if you guys want to like kind of help out with that and help me get a little bit of I don't know, just get it out there that we're racing to 200 patrons. I know that I need to be more goalie with you guys. I know that's like a thing. Like, hey, let's get to $50 tonight so Ciotti can buy some hookers and blow. But I don't know. I'm just not good at like selling myself like that. So I guess I'll force myself and say, if you guys want to win this sooner than later, we got to get to 200 patrons. Is that fair? I don't want to be unfair. I don't want to like use you guys, but I don't know. If that's fair, let's do it. If you guys think it's not fair, sound off in the comments, and I'll do something else. Props Off says, hello. What's up, Props Off? Freelojo tags me and doesn't say a thing, but that's cool. He tagged me. That's all that matters. Is there a theme to the May giveaways? Copter612 asks. I don't think so. Maybe there's a chance I can theme it motors. Yeah, there's a chance I can theme May motors. May motors. All right, I guess I have to now. Fuck. All right. So yeah, it's May motors. May is going to be the month of motors. I don't know if I'll make it through the whole month, but I'll try my best. Bad Habit with a $5 super chat mentioning he's having a problem with his Caddx menu. Can't access... Wait. I'm having a problem with my Caddx menu. I can't access to the menu. Camera works perfectly fine. It records HD fine. Just can't access the Caddx menu. Help. Unfortunately, Bad Habit, I'm the worst person in the whole wide world to be able to help you out with that, because I've spent 3.5 minutes with DJI stuff thus far. When I was hanging out with Jamie Ann a while back, and she let me fly her rig on that setup. That's it. That's the only exposure I've had whatsoever to it. The DJI system is amazing. I just realistically don't have the budget for it. Hopefully it comes down in price in the future, and I can kind of get on board. But yeah, it's a tight ship over here, and I'm not big enough at this point where I get anything sent to me for free or any discounts or anything like that. So yeah, I'll get there eventually. I wish I had an answer for you, but I just don't know a thing about... I haven't even seen the Caddx yet, to be honest with you guys. But I'm willing to bet a Google search or two, maybe a YouTube search, you could hopefully maybe find some info on it. Or actually what you might do, I'll bet you there's definitely a Caddx Facebook group. And there's probably also a Caddx what the hell is it called? Vista. There's probably a Cadix Vista specific Facebook group. So find that, and then those are the people that'll know the answer for you. Those are the folks that are probably using them all day, every day. Yeah, man, thanks for the super chat. Very, 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 very much. I feel bad that I can't help you out. But maybe guiding you towards Facebook groups helped you out, and I'll get you the answer. I try not to just speculate and give bad info. I would rather put somebody in the right place to get legit info from the people that'll know better than me than to take a stab at it and put you on a wild goose chase. I hope you're cool with that. I mean, I know you're cool because you super chatted me for $5, but I hope you're cool with that answer. Propsoft tagged me. What's up, Propsoft? Freelojo, what's up? Travis Cook says that shirt is badass. This is a Blip Shift shirt, for anyone wondering. Blip Shift is a fantastic website for motorsports and car-related shirts. They do short runs of them, so it's user submitted designs. If they approve your design, they put it up on their website and they offer it for 24 hours. They take as many orders as they can get in that time, and then they have the shirts screened. And so basically you put an order in, you've got 24 hours to get your order in for this shirt in your size, and then 2 to 3 weeks later it shows up because they need to go print them. And then every once in a while, so it's kind of like a shirt every day, which is kind of cool. And then every once in a while they'll go back to like the favorite shirts, because they'll, obviously they see how each one of them sells. So every, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 weeks maybe, they'll do like a little, hey, all of the autocross shirts this weekend only, order now. And sometimes they'll do like a different shirt color and keep the logo the same. Awesome website if you're into cars at all. I have dreams of making an FPV version of that website. The problem being the audience and the market for cars versus FPV is very, 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 very different. And also there are a lot less graphic designers into FPV, right? Like we're talking about daily shirts. I mean, so daily shirts goes out the window. Maybe we could do like weekly shirts. I don't know. Down the road, I'm thinking about it. It's something that Kristen and I talk about every once in a while. She's a graphic designer. We'll see. Who knows? Or maybe somebody will hear me talk about this and steal the idea, and that's fine too. I just want that to exist. If I have to make it, so be it. But if one of you guys want to make it, that's cool too. Save me some time. My face itches so much as soon as I start streaming. All right. Raw Picks FPV. Have you seen Nurk's review on the Insta360 Go? Looks like the ultimate micro HD cam, 18 grams and stabilized, perfect for micros. Yes, I have, and yes, it is. The problem being that $200 is a bit much. I wish. You know what? Let's hold on. So my two thoughts were, first of all, $200 is a lot of money, which I don't really have to throw at an HD camera, unfortunately, right now. Maybe in the future. My other thought is it doesn't look all that durable, but if we can get it from Best Buy, that doesn't matter. So let me take a look. Insta360, what is it called? Go Best Buy. Do they sell it? They do. Let's see what the protection plan is. All right, so the protection plan is $30. So the question becomes how durable it is. If it's durable, then it's a pretty good deal. $200 and then $30 over and over and over again. Let's say it breaks every 3 months. That's not too bad. That's $10 a month for an HD camera, sort of a game-changing HD camera for micros. I really wish the form factor bugs the shit out of me. Having like the lens, facing like that really sucks for us because we have to like mount it sideways, or I wish it was a tube with the camera on the front, right? So we could just like put it in front of the battery, or even if it was like a little square. I don't know. The form factor is kind of weird. especially during crashes. Like if we're pretty much going to have to mount it sideways, right? With the lens off on one side. So we're going to have to mount it like this, right? With the lens off to the side. And so the first thing that does is every time you do a roll, the center of the roll, because the lens is off center, the center of the roll is going to be different. Also, this motor or prop is going to be more in view than this one. The other option would be to mount it up like this, but then it's really high, and every single crash is going to mash the shit out of that thing into the ground. So the form factor is a little bit challenging, but I mean, super interesting. Other than that, I'm nitpicking if I'm totally honest here. Interesting. Now that I know that Best Buy sells it, I'm much more interested in it. So we'll have to. I'll think about it. I'll think more about it. What is it? F13? Yeah, I think that brings me back to the right one. There we go. Okay, back to the chat. Panic FPV says, what would be a good first charger? I think everybody starts off with the blue B6A, whatever the hell it is, charger. I think I have a link to it, an affiliate link to it down here in the description. For anybody that doesn't know, down in the description, I have links to all the gear that I personally use, have personally tested, gear that hasn't caught on fire, gear that hasn't failed me. I've been flying for about 3 years now, so I have a good amount, and I crash a lot. So I have a good idea of what stuff is good and what stuff sucks. So yeah, down there, affiliate links to get me a couple bucks to support the hobby and support these streams. And yeah, there should be a charger down there. Go for it. Do it. Other than that, Joshua Bardwell's channel, or website rather, FPV Know-It-All, he's got much better charger recommendations than I've got. Although I think he's got that same one called out on his website. But yeah, between my description and Joshua's website, you should be good to go on chargers. Travis Cook says, do you use the light glide frame? Travis Cook, how did you know? How did you know that tomorrow night I was going to give away a glide light frame? I don't know where it is, but it looks just like the regular glide frame, but it's lighter because it's thinner. I do not use it. Reason being that I'm already breaking the regular glide frames enough that building a glide light for myself, the only possibility of me not just obliterating that thing constantly would be as if I only flew it like long range or cinematic or something like that. But for the long range and the cinematic stuff, I would actually rather have a heavier, thicker, more stout frame like the Glide Hammer, just to keep the vibrations out of the gyro. The problem is that I crash so goddamn much. For somebody that doesn't crash so much like Kebab, the Glide light frame is perfect. And that's the frame that he flies. Like, that is his personal glide frame that he then made available to us. So it's a phenomenal frame as long as you cannot smash the shit out of it, which I have no ability to do. I have zero ability to fly without crashing quite frequently, if I'm honest. So for me, it's not a great frame, but if you guys get or are on the 5-inch tier over on Patreon, well, I guess it's over on Patreon because the link is down here. If you're on that 5-inch tier or on the $30 all of the tiers tier, maybe you can win one and fly it for yourself tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Eastern time. Thanks for that segue, Travis Cook. That was perfect. 6FPV says, what's a good micromotor for 3-inch trying to make a freestyle rig and a long range 3-inch too? All depends on the weight, the all-up weight of the rig, Sticks. The all-up weight of the rig has a lot to do with what frame you're going to be building it on. So let me know what frames you're looking at or already have, and let me know what your target all-up weight is going to be. You might not know the target all-up weight. That's totally fine. If you tell me what frame you're building it off of, I can reverse engineer it. Propsoft says, what are your requirements to be a mod? Mainly props off. I make people that I'm sort of personal friends with outside of the streams here mods, so that I can essentially see their names in blue. That's not always the case because we really don't need mods here. You guys are just awesome and you self-moderate. So yeah, I sort of add people that I want to see their name pop up as a moderator. I don't really expect them to do any actual moderation. Yeah, until we get hundreds and hundreds of people in here and spammers and bots and all that horse shit, I'm pretty much just gonna leave it alone. Just because, yeah, less is more. Just keep it simple. Right. FPV Wannabe, something is reminding FPV Wannabe of a pizza oven. Brandon Bentley says, the motors are working great though. Stuff is very permanent. Even tried to press the shaft out but couldn't. Oh, that's a good sign. Thinner shims fixed the binding I caused by not working fast enough. Nice. Yeah, Brandon, make sure you keep me updated because I want to know. Athix says that the Athix accidentally put a space between @Ciotti and FPV and it didn't tag me, but luckily I saw it. He says the 1S Baby Tooth is awesome. That's what I've heard. Kind FPV says, how can I improve my lap times? Kind FPV, you talking about ground-based lap times or air-based lap times? How about that? For ground-based lap times, turn less. And I know that seems unbelievably weird, but that was the big, and it actually also applies to air-based lap times. There was a saying in the world of motorsports that I would tell all my students as early on as I possibly could, as soon as I thought that they would understand it, which is that he or she, see that, he or she who turns least wins, right? All you have to do to win is turn less. Here's the hard part about it. How the hell do you turn less than the guy right behind you or the guy in front of you when you're on the same racetrack, right? You're on a racetrack that has a certain amount of yaw, right? There's a certain amount of rotation that you have to do, and there's a path that you have to run, and everybody's running that same path. So how the hell am I going to turn less than anybody else in order to win? And the answer to that is you never straighten the steering wheel or you never straighten the thumbsticks. If you've got a corner that's really sharp and you drive all the way into that corner as fast as you can, slam on the brakes right at the last second, turn the steering wheel all the way over as far as it'll go to get all that rotation, right? In this case, it's a 90-degree rotation that we have to do. Turn the steering wheel all the way over to get all that rotation done, and then slam on the gas to drive out of that corner. That's the slowest possible way that you can do that, because you've turned the most you possibly can. You've turned all the way over to the steering lock because you waited until you were already up here to get all that turning done. The trick is you start turning way back here where my thumb is wiggling. You round the corner out. So you start turning, you set up really wide, right? You start turning all the way back here, and then you only turn the steering wheel a little bit, or you only put a little bit of thumbstick input in, and you round that entire corner out. So you can carry speed. So you start really wide, you clip really tight, and the tightest possible point at the corner, and then you let it run out really wide, so that you can carry a shitload of speed through that corner. So you'll only lift or do a tiny little stab of the brakes all the way back here to get the car up on its front wheels and lock down the front tires to drive them into the ground. And then you start your corner in a car by also doing that by weighting the front wheels on the way in. As you release the brake, the front wheels are dug in like a cat with its claws in the carpet. So the car will rotate really nicely. And cars corner the best at 10 to 15 degrees of slip angle. Basically, this is so that the rear wheels will do a little bit of the turning, right? Like if the front wheels are doing all the turning, they have all the hard work to do, and if they're just dragging the rear wheels around, the rear wheels aren't helping. If you can rotate the car a little bit, well, the rear wheels are now turned in as well, right? Your front wheels are turned in, but the car is rotated, so the rear wheels are turned in as well. So the rear wheels are driving you through that corner. man, I could talk for an hour about this, but I will leave it there. That is the quickest way to go faster, is to turn less. And in a car, trying to accomplish that while you're in the car, with walls and and grass and sand and all kinds of shit, is quite fun, but unfortunately quite expensive as well. All the motorsport heads will know exactly what I'm talking about. I would love to get back into that world someday, but financially it's going to take a much better paying day job. But I'll get there. It'll happen. Luckily, it's like riding a bike. You really do remember. I can go out and hammer Blood Mountain and perform to probably 90% of my abilities back when I was hot and heavy instructing every single weekend. So, what else do we have? Freelojo says, Tiny Hawk Freestyle arrived yesterday, waiting on the weather. Very, very cool. Freelojo, you're going to love it. If it's anything like the Race 2, little 2-inch guy that I've been flying the shit out of lately. PanicFPV says, what would be a good first charger? We covered that. Bad Habit RC. Okay, we talked about that. Rafael Sepulveda says, what's up, bro? Looking for a place that will fix 2 flight controllers not getting power only with USB. Rafael, I don't know of any places that fix flight controllers. My guess is it'll be more, you'll pay more in labor to fix those flight controllers than you will to just buy a new one. My preferred flight controller right now, linked down there, is the Talon F7, which is $32. When I think about someone who can fix circuit boards, my hunch is they're going to want to charge, just kind of thinking about what skilled labor costs, right? I'm thinking they're going to charge $40 to $60 to $100 an hour, and there's almost always going to be like an hour minimum. So yeah, I don't think it's going to make any sense, unfortunately, to repair those flight controllers unless you can find somebody local or a friend or something like that that'll just hook you up. You're looking for somebody with a reflow station. That's the type of person that would even be able to troubleshoot where the issue is. Like myself, for example, I wouldn't be able to fix those boards. I don't know. I haven't spent enough time figuring out how to trace where the power is going, what a failed 5-volt regulator looks like, shit like that. But yeah, I mean, if you can find somebody with a reflow station that's willing to do it for nothing or really cheap, that's the type of person that would maybe have a chance at fixing that. But I think you might be better off just biting the bullet, ditching them, and buying another $30 flight controller. Most flight controllers are between $30 and $40. So, Sticks FPV. What's a good motor for a 3-inch that's got good power but won't eat your battery? Trying to make a micro long-range quad. Sticks, it again depends on the all-up weight that you're shooting for. If you're going like Toothpick, really lightweight, like sub 100 grams, I'm going to have to recommend a completely different motor to you versus if you're building something that's really sturdy, maybe it's carrying a GPS, maybe it's carrying HD, that's, 200 grams all up or something like that. So yeah, do me a favor though, when you reply here and you tag me again, remind me, because I'm backed up on the chat, remind me that you're building the long-range rig, and remind me of this comment, because it's going to be another 5 minutes before I read your reply. Tiago says, can't wait anymore. How are the RC and power motors? Too beastie for the Duo. Yes, indeed, Tiago. It is too much motor for the Duo. Where is the Duo? The Duo is now... All right, I'm getting organized, and I'm now organizing all the builds that need to be done into bags, and they all go on this shelf here. So when I break a rig, or when I have a bunch of parts that I want to start gathering up for a build, they're going to go into these bags. And as you can see, unfortunately, the Duo is in the bag right now because I broke it. I flew it below grade, I don't know, Thursday maybe. and it failed. It's on RX. It's on an RXSR, so regular 2.4 gigahertz. 2.4 gig doesn't typically have the oomph to. So when I say below grade, the ground was like this. I was standing over here, and the ground went up, and then it came down. And so I'm standing over here, and then I flew the quad up and then down, and I flew it down lower than the grade of the ground. So the earth was between the transmitter and the Duo, and with a regular 2.4 gigahertz link. See, what's interesting is the video wasn't nearly as bad. Usually with FR Sky, when you lose video, you fail safe. And the video wasn't nearly as bad as I thought, but the problem about going below grade is it happens really fast. Like everything is fine, RSSI is fine, and then it's gone. Crossfire might have had the chance, because it's so overpowered, of skimming out and bouncing off of something, but the video would have went full black when I went below grade, and yeah, it still might have been a bad day. I would have probably been able to save it with my oh shit switch and a handful of throttle, but yeah, couldn't save it. The top plate broke over here by the so it hit inverted, and the battery pushed hard enough on these vertical clean part of the clean section side plates that it broke the one here by the back point of the of where the battery tray slots in. It also hit hard enough to pop the connector, the camera connector, off of the RunCam hybrid board. That was pretty impressive. I think it's fine. It looks like I can just snap it back on, but I mean, that's kind of crazy to hit that hard. It hit the concrete, so I mean, it was pretty violent, and it broke the entire pin header off of the back of the goddamn flight controller that I just put in. So this pin header with the signal outs to the ESC broke completely off, which is just ridiculous because it's, I mean, there's like no weight on it, right? Like it's just the weight of that pin header. Like it must have hit really hard. I mean, it came down from probably damn near 100 feet, so it hit the ground hard for sure. And it's heavy. It's heavy with these motors on it. Let me get a quick weight. But Tiago is mainly interested in the motors, as am I, and there's just too much. They're too much power. They're too notchy. So 190 grams without a battery, and the battery that you really need to fly with these motors, and this wasn't the battery that I was flying at the time, but these motors are so aggressive and they make so much power that you really need to fly a 4S 850. Anything smaller than this and you just hurt the battery because these motors are so aggressive. So realistically, if I was going to keep going on this setup, it would be 288 grams, which is just a bit too much for a 3-inch prop in my opinion. So just so that you guys know what it was at when it did crash, it had one of these 4S 650s on it, so the all-up weight when it did slam was 270. So at 270 grams, all kinds of shit broke. I mean, if you just want motors that are hugely powerful, these are great. I mean, they absolutely do that. The big problem, though, is that they're so notchy that I spent 5 batteries trying to get this tuned in, and even with the RPM filters, these motors are so notchy that they put all kinds of vibrations into the frame, into the dirty section of the frame, and it's just too much. The vibes are just too much for the gyro to handle. Even with the RPM filters, you have to really pull the tune down, really drop the P gains down, really drop the D gains down. And at that point, the tune sucks and it flies like a bag of shit. And there's no point for me to have something that flies like that. So I've been talking to Ryan Harrell about the notchiness of these micromotors, which I've had this conversation with him a couple times, but as I get more and more of these motors and form more opinions and learn more and more and more, I continue to bug him for info. And basically what he said is it's essentially a manufacturing issue. He basically says that all they really need to do is pay a little bit of attention to where the stator poles are versus the magnets, and potentially even do something as simple as rotating the stator poles a little bit. And that would make these things not as notchy and much smoother. And he did confirm that, like, it's a problem. Like, when you take a motor by hand and you turn it, and you can feel this cogginess or this notchiness, no matter what, that's going to put those vibes into the frame and into the gyro. So he did confirm that I'm not crazy, because there are a segment of people who say the notchiness doesn't matter once the motor is activated and once the stator poles are firing and pulling that motor along. But I'm probably over 30 different motors, and every single notchy motor I've ever built a rig with is impossible to get a really good tune on. And every single smooth, not coggy, not notchy motor I've put on is the complete opposite. And it is very easy to get a great tune on. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty cut and dry at this point. These motors do have the 3mm motor shaft, which is great. But it's a racing motor. Because it's coggy like this, it's a racing motor. You're not going to get good freestyle footage with this. Ryan did give me a couple ideas, dropping the timing down in BL 32, as well as dropping the startup power down a little bit. Well, no, he actually said to drop the startup power down a lot, which I did on the other Acrobrat, which is, fuck it, it's over there. So yeah, I'm gonna try that. The other Acrobrat still works. I think I'm gonna tear this apart all the way. I think I'm just gonna have one Acrobrat up at a time. And basically, I believe what I'm going to do is have it be that one, which is on the Emax 1606s now. I think I'm going to batter the shit out of it on those Emax 1606s until it breaks. And then every time I swap, every time I break the frame on the V1, I have an extra base plate. I have one extra side plate. Every time I break carbon on that rig, I think what I'm going to do is swap motors. So I'll run those Emax 1606s for a little bit here. When I break some carbon, I'll pop those off. I have a set of old school Flight 1, actually. I'm sure Flight 1 doesn't make them. They just had them white labeled. This is a nice and smooth 1407 4200. So I think these might be the next set of motors I put on there, just to kind of validate this. Nice and smooth motor, right? 1407 should have a good amount of power. I'm not super thrilled. I would rather it be like a 1506 or a 1505, or even a 1605 or a 1604. I don't like motors that have this much stator height but not as much stator width. But it's a smooth motor and it's a data point. So swap these on, bash the shit out of it some more. When I break carbon, maybe I'll switch over to these motors again, just so I go back and forth between notchy and smooth, I guess. I don't know. I have some ideas. I am also going to put the Beta FPV 1505 motors back onto Acrobrat. I just did a little Pyro Drone order last night for a new soldering iron, which should be fun. And on that order, I put brand new. This is a brand new battery. It's a GNB 5S 550 mAh, and it is less than 100 grams, which less than 100 grams is my requirement for a battery on the Acrobrat. So yeah, we'll get to see the, and that's important because these beta FPV 1505s are, what is it, 3600? Yeah, they're 3600 kV, which is not quite enough kV for 4S. So 5S is the answer. In the box of stuff from Kebab, there was a Speedix IS35 flight controller, which takes up to 5S. So this will be cool. I think this is going to be a cool journey with the Acrobat. It'll also push me to fly it every single time I go out and fly it hard. And that is a big point for me of micros. A big selling point for me with micros is that once you get them built right with the right components, they crash extremely well because they're so much lighter weight. A 600 plus gram 5-inch rig, my God, when it hits something with a whole hell of a lot of energy. Whereas these don't hit nearly as hard. So classically, before HD has been the bane of my existence in terms of durability. Before HD, my micros were like bulletproof. I could smash the shit out of them, and it was how I would learn everything because I wouldn't care about crashing. I would just go absolutely ham and fly them as hard as I possibly could and crash all over the place, and it was fine. Bend the prop back and away we go. HD has kind of thrown a wrench in that. I'm still trying to figure out how to get HD recording on these rigs and have it not explode. I think I'm getting closer, soft mounting the boards and just paying closer attention to a couple other things like wiring has definitely helped. So yeah, we'll see. But I think I am going to tear the Acrobat fleet down to just one. I have to wait for a replacement side plate for this anyway. So I'll probably just pull it down, let this thing sit, and when I break all the V1 stuff, I'll pull that squid out of there and drop it into here, and we'll just keep smashing. Sound like a plan? What do you guys think? Oh, and then I'll take this squid out of here, and I can drop it into probably this CB3 frame, because there's a chance that the Rotorius Ripper, which is my frame, it's this frame, but with the basically the fourth revision of improvements that I've been helping with for years. There's a chance that frame might actually become a real thing. So yeah, I want to have rigs and squids ready for that Ripper frame if it comes. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Let's fix some shit. No, we gotta do chats first. Sticks FPV, we talked about that. Tiago, we talked about that. Noah, like the Arc, have you tried any lightweight 2.5-inch to 3-inch frames like the Racer X Twig? Current favorite builds are between 86 and 144 grams all up weight. Noah, yes, I've spent a lot of time kind of working my way up the weight of micro rigs. Way back when, my very first rig was the original plastic white Emax Baby Hawk, which is a very lightweight. Basically, it's a toothpick frame, circa 2017, 2018. And so that was the first thing that I bought, and then I started upgrading it, put it into, save some weight by going from a plastic frame to carbon. And so I got my feet wet in the world of toothpicks, basically, which ended up becoming not as durable as what I needed. So then I just crept it up, and I built 2-inch rigs that were more enclosed, more, canopy based like this, like long front to rear canopy based like this, right? And then I went up to 2.5-inch and 3-inch, and I found this style of frame, which is just a miniature alien style frame, right? So yeah, I've had a lot of experience with rigs ranging from like 70 or 80 grams all up, all the way up to 270, 280, 290, and everything in between. And for me, it seems like the 200-ish gram all up weight is my happy spot of durability versus ability to carry HD, ability to get the props out of view of the HD, packaging, so I have good space for the VTX and the receiver and 20 by 20 stack and stuff like that. So yeah, a lot of experience there. It is a very personal, like where you land in that spectrum is going to be very personal to you. It's all about where you fly, how hard you fly, how often you crash, how hard you crash, all these good things. So yeah, don't always just take my word for it, top to bottom. Keep those things in mind, right? Like this is a very personalized decision as to how you're going to build your rig to, yeah, you know what I mean. All right. VR Man 3D was working on fixing a 5-inch rig post-crash, realized every press nut in the RDQ Source 1 frame popped out. Not going to buy another one of those. Not a bad crash. Thanks for your video. VR Man, I can almost guarantee you that you built the... that you had the base plate upside down. If you have the base plate... So the press nuts are pressed in and in one direction, and they're very strong when you keep putting force in that direction. Like very strong. Like full throttle into a brick wall in order to break it kind of strong. And I know that the Source 1 frame is very, very durable. So what I'm thinking, and I've seen this happen a bunch of times, is that you had that base plate upside down, and you can build any rig like this. You can absolutely build a rig with the base plate completely backwards, and you'll never know it. And then what happens there is the same direction that those nuts were pressed in, that's the direction that the force gets applied when you get into a crash, and that's what rips them out. The dead giveaway is that you said all of them came out. If you'd said that like only 1 or 2 of them came out, I'd be like, yeah, maybe this isn't the issue. But for all of them to come out and for you to say it was a soft crash, that's, I mean, unless whoever cut that, did you say it was a Pyrodrone Source 1? Where the hell did your comment go? There it is. RDQ Source 1. So unless RDQ did something horribly wrong when they had that Source 1 frame cut, yeah, you had the base plate upside down. So just get a new base plate and just hold on. Let me show you. Oh god. So all right, we're gonna get medieval on this, and I'm gonna fire up the bench cam here for this. So here's a base plate. Here is a press nut. The press nut, this is Kebab's specific kind of press nuts, which I really like. His press nuts go in there, and then you spin it top to the right, and it's got these little 45-degree angle cuts in it that pull this thing into the carbon, right? So it pulls it downwards into the carbon. And now that's the strong direction. So the dead giveaway is that the exposed part of the press nut is up. So you never want to put any force in that upward direction because you'll yank it right out. You want to put all the force in the downward direction because it's not going to be able to pull that exposed part through the carbon without an assload of force because it's bigger. See how the press nut is smaller and then it gets bigger on the top, right? So yeah, I'm thinking you had you had it like this, and then you had the arms in here, and you had the X plate here. You need it to be the other way. You need the arms below the press nut on the smooth side, and then the X plate down there, so that everything is pulling the press nut even harder into the carbon. Hope that makes sense. That's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, if all 4 of them popped out, it's a pretty good chance that you just had that base plate upside down. Which, like I said, that happens, man. That happened to a really experienced pilot here locally not too long ago, and it was like the most impressive looking explosion. But pain in the ass to swap that base plate out. What else do we have here? Almost caught up, I think, and then we can start doing some repair work. Got to show some love to Botsy. CiottiFPV, just messing because Joshua Bardwell threw it out there. Nice, kind. Well, now you know anyway. Noah like the arc. Can you make press fit? Wait, can you make press fit whoop props fit tighter? I tried floss, but it wasn't good enough. Noah like the arc. You've come to the right place. Since I have all this knowledge and background in micros, one of the things that I was doing in 2017, screaming it from the rooftops, trying to tell everyone that they should do it, was press fitting props onto motors so that we didn't have to use 0.4, I think, grams of motor screws. And I got really good at getting them to not fly off. Here's how you do it. You take your super glue. Somebody do me a favor. Leave a comment with the time code right now. I want to start putting... You guys can all help me out with this if you don't mind. When I hit like a good topic, if you can grab a time code of when that topic starts and drop a comment or drop a... I put a post over on Patreon today asking you guys to help me out with this. Yeah, if you guys can just pick up time codes to where I start talking about fun shit, I'll put those in the description so that if you, like, a month from now, if you're like, shit, I know Ciotti was talking about the super glue trick for props in so-and-so stream, you won't have to fast forward through 4 hours of the stream. There'll be a time code that YouTube highlights in blue as a hyperlink, and you just click on it, and it goes straight to the to that part of the live stream. So hook me up. Help me out. So yeah, whatever the time code is now, somebody drop it in the comments if you don't mind. Take your super glue. Take your propeller. And just, is all you have to do. You just hit them together. That's how this works, right? You smash things together, and all is right with the world. Now, so you take your super glue, you take the cap off, and you find a pin, or a little clothespin, or toothpick is too big. It's got to be something smaller than 1.5 millimeters, because it's got to be something that you can put super glue on and then stick inside the 1.5 millimeter hole of the prop. I guess you could use solder, but it's going to be kind of floppy. Solder would totally work. So here's what you do. You take your pin or clothespin or solder, get that sharp-ass point, open your super glue, jam the sharp-ass point down the spout of the super glue. What that does is it coats the sharp ass point of your pin or clothespin or whatever, safety pin rather. So now you've got a really thin coating of super glue on this. You then take your prop and you rub this around inside the 1.5 millimeter hole. All right, and you keep it moving. You keep moving in little circles. You're trying to get a super thin layer of super glue on the inside of this 1.5 millimeter hole, and then you throw it on the floor behind you by accident. You then put this aside and let it dry. That's important. You don't put this right on the motor with the wet super glue. It'll never come off that motor shaft, and you'll probably rip the motor shaft out of the bell and ruin the motor. So this is important. You let this fucker dry. When it dries, that tiny little coating of super glue that's in there, I'm assuming you guys have seen super glue dry. It gets like white. It gets kind of textury. That's what you want. Now you got texture in there, right? Previous to the super glue, it was smooth in there. So that's what would let the prop just come shooting off. Now you've got all that white horse shit in there and that texturing, so that when you put this prop on the next time, that texture is going to bite against the motor shaft, and it's not going to come flying off anymore. Here is the problem with doing this. If you put too much super glue in there, it can get too tight. So there is, and it's impossible for me to, like, I only know this after having ruined a ton of these motors by doing this wrong. But there is a point. All right, so when you're pushing a push on prop, if you're ever like like really, really jamming that thing, stop. Like, you're gonna push the motor bell right through. You're gonna push the motor shaft right through the motor bell. Like, never, 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 never. I don't care if you're a skinny shit like me or a big hulking bastard. If you're like really struggling to push that thing on, you're gonna fuck the motor up. The one trick that I use is I twist it when I'm pushing it on there. I have to do it all the time with the little Tiny Hawk Race, so I might as well show you. So these are GemFan 2035s, and they fit pretty tight without any super glue, but eventually they'll loosen up, so I'll have to do this trick at some point. But basically what I do is thumb and forefinger to grab like the motor and the bottom of the motor. It's hard because they're so small. You might be able to get your ring finger on it too, but yeah, just grab the motor as solidly as you can, and then with your other hand, you're going to turn as you push down or pull the prop off. The turning bit really does help until the shaft slips, and then the turning doesn't really help anymore. But yeah, it seems to be if you turn it, it does work better. So you're going to turn it as you're putting it on, and again, just never, ever, ever this motherfucker on there because you will ruin the motor. So yeah, if you put the super glue in there and you're and really trying to push it on, stop. Take that prop back off. Find something that you can put down that 1.5 millimeter hole to get rid of some of the super glue and try again. After you do this 100 times, it's very easy, but it'll take you a while to do this 100 times. The pain in the ass about this is if like you're buying a prop that just drops onto the motor shaft, you're gonna have to do the super glue thing to all of those props, and it's really annoying. If I used to do it, I don't have the patience anymore. But yeah, just keep that in mind. I try to run a propeller that press fits pretty good, and then if that same propeller like gets hit a bunch of times and loosens up, if I'm hell-bent on keeping that propeller, I'll do the super glue trick, but usually I'll just throw it away and grab a fresh one and put it on. So that's like one of my requirements to when I'm choosing a propeller for a rig that I want to use no screws on, is that I'm choosing a propeller that I don't have to do the super glue trick to all of them in the bag every time I buy them, right? Just to save myself from going even more crazy. Speaking of crazy, FPV Therapy is linked down below, maybe. If it's not, just go to Facebook and type in FPV Space Therapy. Great group for folks suffering, like myself, through mental illness. And yeah, head on over, read some stuff. We're all sharing our experiences, trying to get better together. All right. Noah, like the Arc. Now you're good to go. Oh, and you said tiny whoop props. Yeah, so they're perfect. They fly off all the time. Panic FPV, what's better, 4-in-1 or single ESC for performance? 4-in-1s are always better. They're centralizing the mass. For serviceability would be the word. In theory, individual ESCs are better, although it depends. If for whatever reason you're bending props a lot, you can have a lot of prop strikes kill individual arm ESCs. At which point, okay, well, I'll just put protectors on them. Well, now the performance is getting even worse. You're just adding more and more weight to the arms, and that's going to really make the PID tune have to work a lot harder to speed up and slow down the rotation of the rig. So yeah, 4-in-1s for performance, individual ESCs for serviceability, and or just budget, right? Individual ESCs, as long as you're not prop striking and killing them a lot, are going to be a lot less money because you can just replace one at a time. Whereas with 4-in-1s, if you blow up a single channel on the 4-in-1, you got to replace the whole 4-in-1. If you get the Acon AK32 ESCs that are down in the description, and especially if you prep them, like I'm going to show you guys in a little bit, which is just putting a little surround of epoxy around this little bottom board here, then I think you can get all the above, because these Acon AK32s are unbelievably durable, so you can have a reliable setup that has better performance of having that ESC weight be centralized and protected inside the canopy central area of the rig. Super Deluxe sent me some more stickers. Thank you for that, Super Deluxe. You got to add FPV to the end of that Ciotti for it to tag me in orange, but luckily I saw it because I'm a goddamn rock star. Freelojo says, please no Borg. Oh, we're going Borg on it. Maybe that's the shirt. Maybe it's a Borg shirt. Borg, Ciotti, Borg, Ciotti, FP, Ciotti, Borg, Ciotti, Team Borg, Borg Team, Borg Hive, Team Hive, Hive Borg Team. God, we gotta come up with a name for you fuckers. Is it just the Borg? Are you guys just called the Borg? Because we're hive minding shit? Is that it? Join the Borg. The shirt could be like a play off of like Join the Revolution or something. Are you hearing this? I'm dropping some fucking some genius shit right now. Well, we're gonna hive mind this. Okay, so the Discord. There's a link to the Discord in the description. We gotta find like a Revolution shirt, and then we'll replace. Isn't there like a Revolution image with somebody like this, and then maybe we can. Oh yeah, Guevara. Yeah.
Face instead of Shay.
Yeah, we could put my face on Che Guevara or anything else that you guys can think of. Right here, we're hive minding it. Right, we're Borging that shit right now. I can put like my face on Shay, and then maybe we'll make his body look like the Borg or something. Think up of a Join the Revolution or some shit image, and then we'll figure out how to Borg it maybe, or just put my face on it, or just make it red and purple or so. We'll figure something cool out. Maybe we'll do shirts. Figure something cool out. Jimmy Nature, would your follower... Yeah, wow, Jimmy Nature with the... I swear to God I didn't read this before I went on that rant just now. With a perfect segue, Jimmy Nature says, would your followers be considered Ciottians? So I put a Patreon post up a month or two ago, and I said, hey guys, what the hell can we call ourselves? And there were some really good suggestions, but there were no suggestions that like... that had that X factor that I was maybe looking for. The Borg might be it, man. The FPV Borg or something? Borg FPV? We gotta figure this shit out, man. I gotta have a name for you guys. Like, because, I don't know, we just have such a cool little group here together. Patrick Moran says, take it to Pound Town. I have no idea what he was talking about, but I love that comment, so I had to read it. Tiago says, T-Motor ESC or Hobby Wing for big-ass motors. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm pretty much going to have to go with one or the other. It currently, and we're talking about this rig. It currently has the T-Motor ESC in it. So if I get another one, it'll be easy to swap over, because the plug header will be the same. But the worry is that the T-Motor ESC that's in there failed. So do we switch? I think what I might actually do is, I got to price them, but Acon makes a 55 amp. It's an AK32 higher amperage version. That's probably what I'll end up going with, because I've just had such good luck with the 35 amp 30x30 Acons. But we'll see. I'll price shop them around, and we'll figure it out. Mr. Tuck says, is it just me and the products that are on my radar, or do 4-in-1 ESCs generally have higher amp ratings than individual ESCs currently? Tux, I think you're right. I think I've noticed that too. Yeah, I wonder why. I mean, I guess it could be because now they're making all the individuals really skinny, so maybe that's a problem for the PCB designers to be able to squeeze those higher amp ESCs on there or something like that in that skinny form factor. Maybe it's definitely easier to put shit on a square, right? Like if you've just got a simple square and you've got to fit a bunch of stuff on it, that's going to be a lot easier than trying to fit a bunch of stuff in a bunch of skinny sticks. Especially if they start thinking about, all right, well, we have to design these skinny sticks so that if they get hit by a propeller on one side, they don't catch on fire. That would be my guess as to why that's going on. Freelojo says Tech 32 F3 metal 4-in-1 65 amp. I've heard good things about those, Freelojo. I have not personally had that good experience with them, and I also don't know of any real bashers that run those. I haven't reached out to any. So like when I wanted to find a more durable ESC, I just reached out to Corey Cricket and said like, hey man, what have you been flying? He was just the first person that I thought of that I'm friends with to reach out to. And he basically said, look, I've tried almost all of the 4-in-1s. I don't know if he's tried that, Tech 32, but he mentioned the Gigawatt, he mentioned Speedix, and I've been through a bunch of Speedix as well. I've also killed a couple of Hobby Wings, so my relationship with them and durability is kind of under duress. Although Vanover saying that the new Hobby Wings are bulletproof is a pretty, that's high praise. But yeah, I don't have personal experience from someone that I know smashes the shit out of rigs to go with that Tech 32. If you do, if you have like somebody that you follow that crashes a lot, obviously, or you have a bunch of crash footage or whatever, definitely let me know. But that's kind of where I'm at. You know, I know that the Acons are a known quantity and that they're really durable, so I'll probably just stick that route. Getting caught up on the chat is harder than it seems because you guys ask awesome questions and I never want to miss any of them. Wow, I'm way far behind. Okay, so I'm gonna go 7,000 miles an hour through these. No more ranting. But this is the Sunday and Monday streams are Q&A first and foremost. I think I forgot to put that in the title of this one. But yeah, I want these to be your guys' opportunity to ask tons of questions. So this is good. I'll start working on stuff at some point here. Oh my god, I gotta go up even farther. Holy crap. Okay. Oh my god, look at all these great questions. Here we go. Okay. Fast as I can. Copter 612. Is there a theme to the May giveaways? May Motors. Maybe. We'll see. John Dice. If it's going to be May Motors, I could use some love on the sponsor front. If you... All right, here's the deal. I have some motors, but I don't have nearly enough to get through the month of May. If you guys want motors the whole month of May... April, May. Yeah, it's May. This has worked a couple times. I always feel weird asking you guys to do stuff, but I don't know. Hey, whatever. I'll just do it. And if you guys hate me for it, then tell me, and I won't do it anymore. But if you guys have a minute and you see a post for the new Smooks motors or whatever, I know there's a 1607 I think coming out. If you guys if that post is by the manufacturer of the motors, or you know, like Vivian from Beta FPV. If you guys reply really quick, like, hey, I would love to see CiottiFPV test a set of these, maybe send them a set, or, I don't know, be creative. I would love to see these on Ciotti's twice a week live streams after Bardwell. You know, if you throw the word Bardwell in there, that's going to be like, oh, wow. Or, you know, throw like, I don't know, whatever, 1,000 viewers typically, or do whatever you want. But, yeah, if you guys want motors for the whole month of May, I need reinforcements and I don't think I'm gonna have the budget for reinforcements because of things, so yeah, if you guys can do that, awesome. If not, that's fine too. I love just hanging out. But yeah, if you want motors for the whole month of May, I'm not gonna be able to go just buy, because it's expensive to buy motors for the giveaway because you gotta buy 5 of them. So yeah, there you guys go. If you want to help me out and in a free way that gets you guys more giveaways, there you go. There's an option for you. Jimmy Nature says, make it Motors Mayhem. Done. Motor Mayhem. There it is. May is Motor Mayhem. Good looking out, Jimmy Nature. I'm making the motor plural, though. Motor Mayhem. Raw Pix FPV. Have you seen Nurk's review of the... Okay, yeah, we talked about that. And Mr. Tuck says, bad habit, are you even talking about the Cadix Vista, or are you talking about the Cadix Tarsier? Oh, okay. Tiago, thank you or Mr. Tux, thank you for that. Mr. Tux giving credit to Bad Habit RC for asking if. Oh, I see what you did there, Tux. Okay. Yeah, that's important. Oh, and he's talking about the Turtle V2. Okay, I'm sorry, Bad Habit RC. I thought you were talking about the Vista. There is a Cadix Turtle group on Facebook. Go in there and ask them. I only have the Cadix Turtle. Oh, wait. Turtle V2. Turtle V2. I haven't had a Turtle V2. But that group can definitely help you out. And I'm trying to even think of what your question was. Ask me your question again because I do have experience with the Turtle V1. Maybe I can help you out. Remind me when you re-ask it, Bad Habit. We'll remember to do at CiottiFPV. Remind me you're talking about Turtle V2 and mention the problem that you're having, and I might be able to help you out. Copter612, is the laptop going to be your main video editing rig? Yep, it's going to be everything. I'm using a docked laptop for my main machine, trying to decide if I want to build a desktop for video editing. I mean, if you have the scratch for it, building a desktop tower for video editing is always a better choice because you've got more space in there for more hard drives, which you're going to need desperately when editing. For me, I just really don't have the budget to do that. A friend of mine, best friend in the world actually, Brad McManus FPV, got me an incredible deal on this laptop, which I still actually owe him for. The deal came up and he just paid for it basically in labor for one of his clients. He does IT stuff, and just sent it out to me so that I could get going a little bit faster here with the stream. But yeah, so this laptop is basically the fastest thing that I can afford. But yeah, I mean, if you're gonna build a video editing rig, a tower is the way to go. That's why 13 years ago I spent $3,500 on this Mac tower, and it still runs Premiere just fine. The one thing it doesn't do is streaming. I can't stream in 1080 with all the other shit that I need to do on the computer, right? Run the chat, have the YouTube live control room up, run the DSLR, run the bench cam, run the microphone. So yeah, there's some, I don't know what I'm getting at there, but lost train of thought. Moving on. Raw Pix FPV. Okay, asked about the Insta360. Captain Bo Root. Just saying hi. What's up, Bo Root? How are you? Props off. Have a great day. You as well, props off. Although that sounded like you were saying bye, so. Yeah. Synthetic OG is a graphic designer. Very cool, as is my wife, Kristen. Tiago says there was a major discount last month for it. Last month it was $170 USD. Tiago, what are you talking about? What was $170 last month? Surely you're not talking about the DJI goggles, are you? The Insta360 Go. Oh, $170. Oh, I missed out. Sounds about right. I miss out on all the good stuff, all the good deals, because I buy stuff late when it's come down in price naturally. Rawpix says, I try to mount it vertically, maybe more for cinematic. Don't know yet. Should arrive tomorrow. Nice. Thank you very much for the long answer. It was interesting. You're certainly welcome. You've come to the right place if you want long answers. Jack FPV says, CiottiFPV, do you use feed forward? Just barely, Jack FPV. My preferred feed forward settings are 5, which is basically off for the roll axis. 8 to 10. I've been doing 10 on the pitch axis, but I've begun to pull that down to 8, maybe even 7 for the pitch axis because it's got a little bit more weight. You want to give it a little bit more oomph. And then on the yaw axis, it's anywhere between 40 and 60 is usually where it ends up. But I'm actually playing around with it a little bit on the yaw axis. I might drop it down a little bit. But yeah, I prefer the look of footage that comes from very low feed forward. Feed forward does an amazing job at tracking set point. Set point being what you're doing with the sticks. Feed forward does an amazing job making the quad perfectly mirror what you're doing on the sticks. For me, my fingers aren't quite smooth enough on the sticks to fly in a way that it doesn't look jerky and horrible and like I'm making mistakes all the time and second guessing shit. So I use a low feed forward as basically stick smoothing. So that, and basically the way that I do it is I will just creep, and I've done this enough where I'm settled on these values, but I would just fly and I would creep the feed forward up a little bit each flight. So each battery I would go into the OSD and push the feed forward up by like 5 or 10 points. And then when I got home, I would watch the footage, and all the footage would look like shit. Like the very first battery would be down at 5 and 10, and then I would start pushing it up every battery after that, and I would just hate the way that the footage looked. It looked like I was making all these mistakes and all these second guesses and all these little, every single tiny little movement of the sticks on the transmitter I could see, and I just hate the way that footage looks. So I sacrifice not tracking set point absolutely perfectly for footage that looks good. And even in the goggles, it looks better, and I enjoy myself more flying in a way that looks smooth rather than having it track set point perfectly. So essentially for me, in my opinion, racing is where you want to use a bunch of feed forward, and then freestyle, which to me, freestyle is like, I guess if you're just flying freestyle for you, sure, crank the shit out of the feed forward. But I like the way it looks, and I like the way it feels when I'm flying when it's very smooth. So for me, low feed forward or no feed forward all day, every day. Eagle FPV didn't tag me, but somehow I saw it. How do you like those T-Motor Pacer 2207.5s? I like them a lot. I prefer a 2306 motor, so it's not the motor for me. But in terms of a 2207, they're the best that I've run. They're the best that I've tried. So yeah, thumbs up on them. They're gonna be a part of Motor Mayhem. So they'll be one of the giveaways in May. All right, thanks for the awesome question, Jack FPV. Nap FPV with 5 unknown dollar things. I don't know what that symbol is. Thank you very much, Nap. Much appreciated. Nap says, thanks for all you do. You're an awesome dude. I sent you another PM on Patreon, Harry, about the dad motors. Just have a quick look, please. Much appreciated, man. I will get those out for you. They're actually... Here they are. There you are, Harry. Found it just sitting in the bottom of the bag. Oh, I probably just held it up in a way that people can read it. But so maybe people will send you some mail. But yeah, I'm sorry about that, man. It was literally sitting in the bottom of the... I use this run cam bag. I forget when I got this. I use this as my little tote bag to bring stuff to USPS, and your package was at the bottom, and like the bag is white, and like it was white, and I just completely missed it. For anybody that hasn't heard or seen, I am now on stamps.com because I found this crazy two-dimensional printer. I believe they're also called paper printers. But yeah, I found them. I found it, and I bought it, and it prints paper, so then I can print a label out from stamps.com and just stick it to your guys' packages, and then I don't have to go to USPS and spend an hour on their machine getting coronavirus. So, I'm really advancing in technology. I've got drones that can hold a camera angle dropping from 1,000 feet straight down like a cinema camera, but I can't figure out how to print labels and just mail your guys' stuff out. But, hey man, enough of you guys mentioned paper printers, and I went, right, that's all I need, $40. Sticks FPV says it's the Cube 3-inch from Diatone. Okay, so that is a Tiny Whoop. Have you ever seen Dave FPV's long range 4-inch 10-minute flights? I haven't. The long range thing is kind of boring to me. The long range community just attacked my throat when I went to say that. The long range stuff is a little bit boring to me. I think it's fascinating. I just don't want to do it. I would love to hang out with somebody that was doing it. I would love to spot for somebody that's I'm 3 miles out, or I'm 5 minutes out. I think that would be fun, but just doing it myself, I don't know. It's just not my thing for whatever reason. If we make our way to Portland, Oregon, where there's some amazing scenery, maybe we'll see. But I don't know. It's just creepy to me sending a rig multiple miles out, and expecting to get it back. So I don't know. Just not my deal. But 3-inch cube from Diatone. I would go with Kebab's motors. Go with his 1303s. Those are probably going to be the best bet. But yeah, you want something with stator width. See, you can kind of make it depends. It comes back to where you want the efficiency. Do you want the efficiency in the top of the throttle, or do you want it in the middle to low throttle? If you want to do long range where you cover a huge amount of distance, where you're just going to put the nose down and just run like 80% throttle and just try to get as far as you possibly can, then you're going to want a taller stator. You're going to want like a 5 or a 6 millimeter tall stator. Versus if it's not about covering ground and it's more about just longer flight times, right? Flying slower, not with the nose down so far, where you're going to use mid throttle, 50% throttle, 40% throttle, then you would want to go to like a 1303 or a 1304 or a 1404, something that's got more stator width than stator height. So that's how you want to choose your motors. 3-inch propeller. I would say you want at the bare minimum a 12 millimeter wide stator, and then depending on if you want to cover, depending on what throttle value you're going to use most during your flying time, that's what really matters. That's how you're going to decide if you want a 1206 or a 1204 or a 1303, so on and so forth. Cool. Great question though. Mr. Tux, the message from Eagle FPV above this one. I don't know if you answered this question, but how do you like those T-motor pacers? Thanks for that, Tux. Kind FPV, well, damn, just messing, but basically learned a ton from your explanation. That's what I'm here for, Kind. That's what I like to hear, man. Trying to pick up comments that I'm not tagged in that are still good, because I know it's people. So anybody that's jumped in halfway here, if you type at CiottiFPV, it highlights in orange, and those are the comments that I see a lot easier to answer. Bad Habit RC, I was talking about the Caddx Turtle V2 HD LOL. William Barlow, don't you have a necklace full of burned up FPVs and ESCs? I think you showed it once in the live stream. I do, William Barlow. I'm still, I need to add to it. And I want to like solder some 30 gauge wires to it and whatnot. And I have a bunch of flight controllers and ESCs that need to be added to it, but yeah, this is where it's at now. And this is what I still need to add to it. There's a this is a run cam split board. This is a this was a cheap 30x30. This was like a $40 Viva FPV 30x30 ESC that of course didn't last because nothing cheap ever lasts. This is a Speedix GS40. This is a Speedix IS20 Talon F7 Hobby Wing Micro ESC. There's a second one of these blown up somewhere. This is the newbie drone FR Sky like 0.5 gram receiver for their Tiny Whoop. This is a Pyro Drone ESC. And then I've got an Acon 30x30 over there, an Acon 20x20 over there. They're not invincible. They do break if you hit them hard enough. There's a bunch more back there. I have these 2 cubes on the Kallax here that are like just blown up stuff. So yeah, lots of experience with components failing, which is why all the affiliate links down there are important because they're to good shit that doesn't blow up, guys. I can't stress that enough. Do yourself a favor. I know that you think you're smarter than others and that you can find the super secret electronics package that makes you a better pilot or lasts longer or is cheaper or whatever. But I'll put it this way. I thought that too. I still think that sometimes, and I have to slap my own hand in my head and just stick with what works. I think it's kind of human nature to just like, nah. There's got to be something cool and new and better. I don't think there is. Yeah, I think these AK-32 ESCs are about as durable as we're going to get. I think the Talon flight controllers are the lightest weight, the most features, the features that we really need. The pad layout is brilliant. Yeah, I don't know. Spent a lot of time thinking about this stuff. I get hung up on the technical side of this hobby more than I should, but that benefits you guys because I've already thought this shit out. So if you just say, to hell with finding the newer, faster, better thing, I'm going to trust Ciotti, I bet you'll save yourself some headaches and some money. All right. Oh, so I didn't talk in quite enough detail about these RCN Power 1506s. This KV of 4300 KV is also a bit much. In fairness, I was running these on pitchy props. I was running these on the T-Motor 3140s as well as the Azure 3060s. Basically, the top of the throttle was just mayhem. It's just too much power. 10 to 1 power to weight ratio is great. This was probably up, if I had to guess, like 12, 13, 14 to 1 power to weight ratio. Maybe you like that sort of thing. It is certainly funny to see a micro rig just into the goddamn clouds. But that's not my thing. I try to have a rig that's more controllable, that has a realistic amount of power so that I can stay close to objects and so that I can do a power loop 2 feet away from the tree versus 200 feet away from the tree where I have to wait 4 seconds for it to come down out of the goddamn clouds to go under it to finish the power loop. So yeah, these motors are not for me. Too much power, too notchy. They do seem to be durable, which makes sense because a 3mm motor shaft is going to be durable. But yeah, a very low hover point because of how much power they have in the throw of the throttle stick. The hover point is unbelievably low. You can improve that with throttle curves, sure, but yeah, they're just not the motors for me. Great motor for racing, but for freestyle, it's going to be really tough to get a half decent tune on these motors with how vibey they are. I'm going to have the same problem with these Beta FPV 1505s. They're very notchy, but hey, I gotta do the experiment. I only got 1.5 batteries before the two of them blew up on 6S. I want to spend a little bit more time with that with them. I want to spend a little bit more tuning effort on them to see if I can get them to a good place. Tiago says, zing, it's for my duo and pray that I don't crash it on cement. So I'm assuming, Tiago, you're putting the 1507s on. Speaking of the 1507s, the reason why the 1507s are all smooth and like all the rest of these motors that we've got are not, according to Ryan Harrell, is just about the fact that all of these, not all, but most of these motors that we keep getting, they're an existing design for something else that they're just turning into an FPV motor. The crop of 1507s that we got a couple months ago was specifically designed for Cinewhoops. So they did things like going from 12 magnets to 14 to make it smoother. They also did whatever Ryan was talking about with like rotating the stator poles in a way that makes it less notchy. Basically, it was produced as an FPV motor. When you make an FPV motor, you make it smooth because that's important on quads. We need that smoothness. So when we're getting these really notchy motors, they're either specifically meant for racing or it's just a motor from some other segment, maybe RC cars or God knows what else these little brushless motors are used for. Oh, planes. So I bet you that's where a lot of these are coming from, is planes, where the notchiness doesn't matter, the vibration doesn't matter, right? The whole plane is just a big vibey mess bouncing around in the wind. So that's where I bet you a lot of these molds for these motors that we're getting are coming from, is RC aircraft, and then they're just marketing them as an FPV motor. So yeah, that's the full story of these 1506s. In the bag it goes. I will probably tear it apart on a Quarren stream this week and repurpose it into a CB3. Leviathan asks, did you get the TS100 or the cheap one? I got the cheap one because it's new, and I think I'm going to like the form factor a little bit better. Something I realized the other day, I was out in the living room watching something or other, and Kristen was out there playing with her Legos. So she's got like a cool little setup with her Legos with like our coffee table where she can sit there Indian style, all Japanese like, which is good for your back. And she can play with the Legos on the coffee table, and then she's got like a the lid to the bins that she puts them in, that she flips upside down for like a nice little surface for like on her lap. So she's got this really cool little setup out there, right, with Lego, where she can play with Lego and watch TV at the same time. And I'm just sitting out there like a mug. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll like, if I get a new frame in or something, I'll bring the frame out there and just sit there with a screwdriver, put the frame together, faff about with it, whatever. So I can do simple stuff out there, like on this little toothpick build. I bolted the motors up out there and kind of just dropped the flight controller in. But then that's kind of it. Like I can't do much beyond that. This new cheap, it's by the same folks that make the TS100, this new cheap soldering iron, that's battery powered, so I can run it off of my 6S batteries to serve as a discharger. I have a cool little thing that'll make sure I don't over discharge them, which will be neat. But I should show it to you guys. Hold on. It'll make so much more sense if I show it to you guys. So this new, cheaper soldering iron on Pyrodrone, the body is bigger. So when you put it down, it's going to keep the tip of the soldering iron the fuck away from... We've always had like hand-me-down furniture or Craigslist, just, $20 futons and $30 coffee tables and $25 or cinder block entertainment centers, because we're broke. But a couple years ago, I guess, we actually spent some money for like, I don't know, it was like a 37th birthday present to myself or something like that. We spent some money and we got a coffee table that we actually really liked from, Christ, I forget from where, maybe World Market. So yeah, like we have this coffee table now that's beautiful that we're in love with. So a TS100, there's no way in hell I'm putting a TS100 down on this coffee table and risking the tip getting too close and burning the I forget. I used to know the name of the wood that the veneer was. It's obviously not solid wood because I'm still a cheap bastard, but the top layer is a veneer of some fucking I forget the kind of wood. My wedding ring is cocobolo wood on the inside of the carbon fiber. What's that wood that the coffee table's made out of? It looks like teak.
Walnut?
It's not. It looks like it. I forget what it's called, but whatever. So yeah, I don't want to ruin the coffee table. That's the here's those smookses. They're not smookses. They're toucans. Apex toucan 1607. I would love it if Apex would send me a set of those for review or for testing. So maybe if you guys see Apex posting somewhere on social media, you can drop them a little comment and be like, "Yo, this guy CiottiFPV is a huge jerk, but you should send him your stuff anyway." There it is. Secure. Oh, wait, that's not it. Wait, is that it? Yep. This is nope. That's the plug-in one. Down a little bit should be the USB one. Come on, where is it? It's here somewhere, guys. There it is. Secure SQD60. So I got the one with the digital display. So for $28.99, what it seems like is this is all of the good features, all of the useful features of the TS100, like auto shut off or auto sleep, induction wake up, I don't know, all those cool things, but a bigger body, which I think I'll like better anyway because I'm used to a desk soldering iron with the bigger body, right? So yeah, it's got that bigger body, which I think will be great, and it's still got what appears to be a digital thermostat. Hopefully that's not just a dial. Hopefully that's an actual thermostat that has a thermocouple that notices when the temperature goes down and pushes more voltage. I didn't really read enough to know, but I just figured for $29 this would be amazing if it's good, because then it's a perfect like beginner soldering iron. So yeah, I'll guinea pig that, and $29 is a damn good deal. I did have to get a different tip for it. I prefer the tips that are flat. I don't know, whatever. We'll talk about that later when it comes in. I can show it to you. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it's a good soldering iron. If not, then I'll throw it off the balcony. So for anyone that doesn't follow me on Instagram, you need to, because on my stories yesterday, it's probably going to go away soon, so hurry the hell up. But on my stories yesterday, Kristen and I were putting a Velcro screen on our door that goes out to the patio, and this little like toddler, for one of the next door neighbors, decides that he's fucking had it. He's over the quarantine. He can't fucking stand it anymore. So he took all of his toys, one by one, from inside, and ran them out to the balcony, and just fucking yeeted them bitches off the balcony into the woods. And I guess his parents have just had it with the quarantine as much as he has, and they just said, you know what? You want to throw all your shit off the balcony? Fucking go ahead. You're going to have to clean it up. Which, of course, he didn't. They had to clean it up. But, yeah, we got to stand outside for about a half an hour just watching this kid just fire every single one of his personal belongings off the balcony. And there are Instagram stories of that. And, man, this kid's got it all figured out. I mean, you can't tell me that you don't want to just go out on a balcony and throw everything you own off of it in protest of a virus shutting down the entire planet and making us all stay inside for months. So there we go with that. I'm doing a real bang-up job getting through these chats fast. That went out the window a long time ago. RawPixFPV, do you have SMTH like an ultimate durable micro parts build list? That's what's in the description. RawPix. If I tried to list out enough stuff in the description that, like, regardless of what the build is, you're still gonna, like, I have multiple motors in there so that yeah, if you're building a lighter weight rig, there's gonna hopefully be a motor that works for you. Although I don't think I have toothpick recommendations in there yet, because I don't really have a good enough toothpick built. I'm working on it. That'll happen soon. But for 5-inch rigs and regular, like, heavier weight-ish 3-inch micro brushless, I got you covered, man. Just buy the stuff that's in the description. Like I said, I'm working on adding some toothpick stuff there, but I just have to fly it enough to know that I'm recommending the best-ish, or at least close to the best of XYZ motor, all-in-one, whatever. Mr. Tuck says, speaking of HD FPV cams in chat, Ciotti, have you had time to test out the Runcam Hybrid? And what do you think? How is the FPV feed? It seemed like a very controversial camera to me. So, right before the Duo fell out of the sky, the memory card filled up, And I said, well, fuck it. All I've been doing is tuning thus far. I'll just delete everything and I'll get a good flight or two in. And 30 seconds later, it was fail-safing and falling out of the sky and exploding. So that memory card is here. I assume that there's just nothing on it because it probably went crazy when it crashed and lost a bunch of it. But I'm plugging in right now, and we'll see if there's anything on there. Previous to that, though, the FPV feed is great. Maybe not as good as the Tarsier, but I don't care. It's a great FPV feed, and the HD is definitely better than the Tarsier HD. I would venture to say that the HD out of the Runcam Hybrid is kind of as good as a Runcam Session 5. Probably not quite as good, but fuck, man, it looks real good. It's really good. The HD output is very impressive, and I'm pretty well known to have kind of impossible standards. So, yeah, let's see what happened. What's the button? This is the button. Here you guys go. Here's me crashing. The trains that were running by this spot were completely empty. So we were kind of playing around a little bit with following them within reason, which you might see here. And the computer can handle it. Well, there's the quality. It's going to get really jumpy and horrible. But, yeah, it looks really good, guys. Like, I know it's probably impossible to see on the stream, too, because... and there's the failsafe. But, yeah, the quality's really good. I still think there's a reason for the Tarsier, and the main reason is that it's much smaller in the vertical dimension. So, like, for example, you can fit the Tarsier into a rig with 23mm standoffs. You cannot fit the hybrid below 28mm standoffs. So, if 28mm standoffs are too high, then Tarsier V2 all day, every day. You won't be disappointed by it. If you can stomach 28mm standoffs, hybrid all day, every day. Period. Like, no questions asked. Oh my god, it's 5 o'clock. We didn't do shit. I should maybe I'll retitle this. What are we doing? We doing anything this afternoon? We'll just go long to get some. Fuck it. I'll just go long. I'm not that hungry yet. Oh my god, look at all these chats. No orange though, so I'm good. I'm assuming that you guys are just taking care of shit.
You can do whatever you want.
We're not doing anything, right? Alright. What time do you want to eat?
I don't even know what we're doing for
Okay.
So whatever.
Works for me. Tiago Ramos, join the Borg. Resistance is futile. All shall be assimilated. I'm kind of digging this Borg thing, guys. There's resistance is futile. Come on, man. Fuck yeah. Assimilate. We can start using the word assimilate a lot. Yeah, man. John Dyson, the collective. Fuck yeah. Yeah, we're going. Oh, the Ciotti Collective says license to drive. Now we're fucking talking. Yeah, I think we might have to do something with the Borg thing. Did you guys post any suggestions on like a resistance picture that we can yeah, I think we're gonna do the Borg thing. Here's the other kind of cool thing about the Borg parallel here for me. One of my fondest memories with my father growing up was watching Next Generations with him. That was Next Generation. It's not plural. Watching Next Generation with him. That was like his preferred sci-fi show. So a lot of the time that him and I spent together growing up that I can remember was us watching Star Trek The Next Generation together. And, I mean, come on. Jean-Luc. Come on. Has there ever been a better commander of a starship? I don't know. I don't think so. I think that's about as good as it's going to get. Data. Come on now. Come on, Data. Geordi. Yeah. Next Generation all day. Here's the sad thing, though. I tried to rewatch The Next Generation when it was on Netflix. I think the mistake I made is I tried to rewatch it from the pilot. I couldn't watch it. It was, I don't know, for whatever reason, it just didn't hold my interest enough to not just. Here's how I know if something is rewatchable for me. If I sit down, if I, the crazy person that's like, shiny things, if I can sit on the couch for like an entire half an hour and not like be on my phone, like be in the kitchen getting food, if I can sit and watch a whole episode or two, that means it's good and I'm actually interested in it. If I'm like all over the place, well, if it's not holding my interest, I'll put an episode on. Halfway through the episode, I'll be in here. I'll be fucking grabbing stuff. Oh, what can I do on the couch? So I'm not just watching this show. And yeah, unfortunately, I found myself just roaming around the apartment halfway through the pilot. But maybe what I should do is go like season 10, episode 1, and try that. So maybe I'll do that because I would love to rewatch it because it's a groundbreaking show, right? Like all the Star Trek shows are relatively groundbreaking in that they're written and they're just made by very, very smart people who are very forward thinking. And you know, like the first interracial kiss was on the original Star Trek. And just the whole point behind the show being like, we moved out of, we had to leave Earth because we fucked it up or whatever. I think that's the premise. And now like diversity is not just simple, right? It's not just the color of our skin. It's huge foreheads with crazy wrinkly bastards and a big, who knows who I'm talking about, right? But yeah, the Star Trek shows have just been a great forward force in equality and a lot of really good things outside of just them being sci-fi shows, right? Let me get off that rant before I really go down the rabbit hole. Freelojo says, thank you for the motor talk. Help explain why my 10-inch was such a pain in the ass to even attempt to fly. Freelojo, yeah, man. 10-inch props are going to require a stator width north of 30 for sure. For sure. You might, you can, so do this, right? Here's my only possible recommendation. Look at the weight of that propeller. Unfortunately, the weight isn't the full story. The dragginess of the prop also has a lot to do with it, but you can at least get a feel for it by looking at the weight of those 10-inch props and comparing that to the weight of 5-inch props. So like 5-inch props are usually around 4 grams each. Let's just say I'll just pick a number. Yeah. Well, so let me say this: a 4-gram 5-inch prop can be handled properly by a 2306. A 2306 motor has enough mechanical torque in the 23 width of the stator, and it has enough horsepower, let's say, from the height of the stator, 6 millimeter, to be able to speed up and slow down a prop that weighs 4 grams comfortably. So take that and then scale that. So take that 4-gram weight of the prop and scale that up to your 10-inch prop. So let's say your 10-inch prop weighs, let's just say 10 grams. It's probably heavier than that, but let's say it's 10 grams. You could kind of say from 4 grams to 10 grams, that's more than double. So like, I don't know how it works out, but you could almost say, okay, well, 2306 needs to become 4612. See what I'm saying? You probably wouldn't need to go quite that big, but that's the theory, right? That's the theory behind matching motors to props, is that the motor has to have enough mechanical stator width to speed and slow that prop weight up and down very, 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 very quickly for that PID loop to be fully effective. And if you can't, if there's not enough mechanical torque, you get all this bobbly bullshit that all those 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10-inch rigs are getting and dealing with. So yeah, there is a very fine science to matching up a motor to a prop to get performance anywhere near what we have with 5-inch rigs, solely because 5-inch rigs have been on a 5 or 6 year development cycle from guys like Steele and Stingy and all these OG foals who just went nuts way back when it was so hard to get these things to fly at all. They started this development cycle, right? And we all have benefited from that, and we've been a part of that. The bigger propped rigs and the smaller propped rigs have just not had that cycle. It's one of the things I love about Bob's website, the name FPV Cycle. I think it's so perfect because Bob is, and I don't know if this is why he chose it, I assume it is, but Bob is in this Toothpick cycle. Like, he's in this Toothpick FPV development cycle, and the progress that he's made is phenomenal. For me, my FPV cycle has been with rigs like this, 200-ish grams all up weight, 3-inch props, 1306 motors are the best that I've found, but I still think that a 1405 or a 1504 would be even better. But that development cycle is ongoing. So I have no idea what put me on this tangent, but there's some more motor tech for you guys. Oh, the 10-inch props being a pain in the ass to fly. Yep, there you go. Freelo Joe, good thing it's not teak because it would weigh a ton. Well, it would just be a teak veneer. Although I didn't know that teak weighs a ton. That's interesting. Right. Derpa. Nap FPV says I misunderstood with Super Chat. New PM on Patreon, or on, on Patreon. So let me look at that, because if you guys are going to support me, god damn it, I'm going to support you. On Patreon, I've got a message that says, hey, there's Harry. Oh, okay. We're still trying to figure out the, cool. Harry, I will read this because it looks good and I don't want to just breeze over it and understand half of it. I'll read this at the end of the stream and we will talk. S. Grace says, it's the creepy part that's fun. Sometimes I'll agree with you. DJ Pop says, I made a necklace out of my dead flight controllers for an art school project. Very cool. DJ Pop, did you do stuff like running 30 gauge wires in between the pads to just make it look a little bit cooler? Right now, all I did is take little black keyring round, I don't know, what the hell are they called? Key rings? Black little key rings, and that's how I connected them. I didn't do any actually wiring or anything fun yet. EBRFPV says, what's your experience in analog microcam that best handles the low sun just before golden hour? EBR, it is all about the size of the sensor when it comes to, although no, that's not true with the nanos. Here's what you got to look for. You got to look for the lux rating. Let me go to runcam.com and I'll show you, because that spec that you're looking for is one of the very few specs that you can actually somewhat successfully look at in tech specs. Like, i.e., it's not something that you have to find a review video and trust somebody's opinion on the camera, right? Most of the other specs on a camera, you have to watch somebody look at some footage that's coming from it, right, to get a really good feel for it. But the low light performance is not one of them. So if you go to, let's just go to the Racer 3, you're looking for the lux rating, and I don't know it offhand, but that's okay because you can just compare it between them. The camera manufacturers usually give you the low light performance lux rating somewhere in here. So here's what you're looking for. Minimum illumination. So that's what you're looking for. And what I can tell you is that 0.01 lux, I don't know about this at 1.2 f. My guess is that's a focal range measure, So that at 1.2F is probably important, but I don't know what it means, so I can't really speak to it. But this 0.01 lux is important. You're going to find cameras with 0.1 lux. You're going to find ones like this with 0.01. You might also find some cameras with 0.001 lux. Now is when you start to get into the really good performing. So let me give you an example. The Micro Eagle, in my opinion, in my experience, oh, you know what? They're not going to have it on their website anymore. God damn it. Let's see. Let's see if my boys over at CiottiFPV still have it on their website. Of course they do. Down in the description. Oh, there, it's not a stock. Never mind. Well, I guess I have to I gotta relist my. Here you go. Preferred, recommended. Oh, for Christ's sakes, what just happened? Minimum illumination of the Runcam Micro Eagle 0.001 lux at 1.2F. So there you go. Micro Eagle, much, well, that's 10 times better, right? That is 10 times better at picking up low light than the Racer 3, which makes sense because the sensor in this Micro Eagle is gigantic, and the bigger sensors do a better job at collecting more light. Bigger lenses also do a better job at collecting more light. The lens on the Micro Eagle is an M12 mount. The lens on the Racer 3 is an M8 mount. Bigger versus smaller. A lot of different things go into that, but yeah, in terms of getting something that works really well in low light, look for this lower minimum illumination number, and yeah, if you can find anything that's 0.001 lux, if you rewind to the beginning of the stream, where I had a night video up in downtown Atlanta, that was flown on a Micro Eagle, and it was basically daylight inside the goggles for me. At the end of that flight, every single time I would take the goggles off, I would go, holy shit, it's way darker than it was 3 minutes ago. I was completely able to fly comfortably at full-blown twilight. Not full-blown twilight. The sun was still hanging on the horizon, and there was a little bit of a tiny little strip of sunset on the horizon. At full-blown twilight, like moonlight only, it's rough at 0.001 lux, but it's still kind of flyable. It's pretty impressive. All right, moving on. Furcan 10KY has an Ishin trash can, uses 8K. What will happen if the CPU gets overloaded in the air? I believe it shuts off. It'll for sure just kind of fall out of the sky. So if you'll know it. You'll know if it hits 100% usage rather. Something obvious will happen. So you're probably good to go. I think that's an F4 processor, which will run 8K all day long. Alex Navarrete, thanks for the recommendation of 3-inch props. Picked up 4 sets. Looking forward to trying out the GemFan 3028s. You are going to love them, Alex. They are the shit. DJ Pop, what about the Mamba stacks? I have one in my Cinewoop. Is it good enough for a 5-inch or 20x20 for 3-inch? 5-inch, in my opinion, really the only way to get a reliable 5-inch setup is going to be with a 30x30 ESC. My idea of reliability is different than some others, so take that with a grain of salt. If you crash hard as shit all the time, listen to what I'm saying. If you don't, you can probably get away with something a little bit lighter or smaller or whatever. So Mamba stacks get really good reviews from a lot of people, so they're probably good. But yeah, I'm still doing 20x20 for 3-inch rigs, but my God, these AIO boards are getting really good. So at some point here, I'll probably make the switch over, but I am going to wait a little bit longer because I am running on 4S, and not many of the AIO boards run 4S. So I'll probably wait a little bit. If you're on 3S, you might be able to move over to the AIO boards now and get like the 20 or even the 30 amp versions and get away with it. But yeah, for me, I gotta wait a little bit. Drew Kilborn, what's the best size prop for efficiency on the FPV cycle 1202.5 11,500 kV motors? So when it comes to prop size and efficiency, the bigger the better. Period. The bigger a prop gets, the farther away the tips of the propellers get from one another. And the reason why that's important is the tip of the propeller is where all the dirty air happens. You've got a high pressure and a low pressure zone that are being separated by the blade itself. And when the blade stops, there's nothing to separate those high and low pressure zones. So they swirl and they do all kinds of wacky shit and they make turbulence. And then the next propeller comes around, and if it's a tiny little propeller, the next propeller comes around and slams right into that turbulence. So the bigger the propeller gets, the bigger the distance gets between the tips of the props, and the more efficient it gets. So ideally, if you want the most efficiency, it's just find the biggest possible diameter propeller for the frame that you're on, or move to a frame that gives you even more leeway. More specifically, I think what you're asking is for that specific baby tooth rig, which is locked into 3-inch props. All the testing thus far has shown that the GemFan 3018s and 3016s are the most efficient options. On top of that, they're phenomenal props, so just go with those and job done until somebody else comes out with something that's even lower pitch, even more efficient. GemFan does a hell of a job at making efficient props. So yeah, you're kind of, and it looks like Rawpix FPV is calling that out. So yeah, GemFan 3016, 3018 all day, every day. Freelojo, thanks for the motor talk. Okay, we got there. Freelojo, good thing it's not teak because it would weigh a ton. It looks like I missed some of these. Tiago says, when you compared Tarsier versus Hybrid, were you comparing to the Tarsier V2? I was not. Tarsier V1 only, but I don't think I'm not going to say it. I was about to say I don't think the HD quality got any better on the Tarsier V2, but I really don't know. Off-axis FPV, happy Sunday, another awesome shirt I see. Yeah, man, this is one of my favorites. I will not be wearing this shirt when we get near 200 patrons, because I don't want to give this one away. For you FPV, pick should be a Borg body, your face wearing fat sharks. I'm into that. For you FPV is a fellow Next Generation fan. Hell yeah. Hey, For you, have you been able to rewatch it? Did you hear my rant about my trying to rewatch it from season 1, episode 1, and not being into it? Should I start like a bunch of seasons in? Is there a point? Yeah, whatever. Freelojo says I'll have to buy that shirt. Freelojo, get onto blipshift.com. Put your email address into their subscriptions thingy, and they'll email you every day with the design of the day. I have seen this design reprinted a number of times because it's just so good, and they have a sticker with this guy on it, which is awesome too. And I think that's a sticker that they sell all the time, so get you some. McStarcoin says, what's up? McStarcoin has very graciously offered to help me out with the 3-inch frame so that the Ciotti secret frame can become a real thing. And I am letting the team down by I have to rework my Google Docs document with all of my notes and info about the changes and the specs and all this shit. So I need to get that done, and I just haven't found the time yet. But I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks again for offering, McStarcoin. Very cool of you. He knows 3D CAD, and yeah, that's what we need to get this done, to get it ready for one of these carbon shops to cut, and also figure out where it's going to break and shit like that. So yeah. Pesky FPV calling out the Picard series yet. I was so excited about it, and then I completely forgot about it. I heard it's really good. What's it on? Do you... Kristen's not out there anymore. She's into sci-fi a little bit as well. She's a Firefly fan with me. So I'm hoping the Picard series, she'll dig it. But yeah, what... I need to get going on that Picard series. I really want to watch it. All right. License to Drive calling out that the original Star Trek had actual thought-provoking plots. Yeah, very, very true. Go figure, right? The people writing, the writers for sci-fi are like intelligent people that make interesting plots that aren't so one-dimensional, right? Go figure. Hey, Mandalorian, calling it out. Worf, son, there it is. Man, that was a while ago that I was talking about Worf's forehead. I'm still so far behind. Freelojo saying it was 2212 from the kit with a CC3D. It was on 2212 from the kit with a CC3D. Why can't I make sense of those acronyms? 2212, is that a motor? That's a motor. 2212 is a motor size. Freelojo, I think you were talking about the 10-inch rig. So I think what you're saying is you had a 2212 motor on a 10-inch prop. Oh my God, that must have been brutal. The 12 millimeter tall stator is great, but the 22 millimeter width is nowhere near enough mechanical torque for a big, heavy 10-inch prop. Mr. Tux quotes Black Moses saying, has a question like 8 messages above this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Black Moses took the electronics for another 3-inch frame that doesn't have those crazy vibes. So the original question is, there it is. I have a question about your Acrobat build. I've built a 6S Acrobat Duo, but I have a problem with the clean dirty mounting. Can't get the filtering right because I have crazy resonance vibes. What filter settings do you run on yours? I've tried 4.2 with RPM and filter sliders at 1.3. So Black Moses, it's probably not about the filtering. It's probably about the motors that you're running. You're probably running into the exact same problem that I did, where the motors are very notchy, and that just creates too many vibrations for any flight software to handle. So Black Moses, here's what you got to do. Type the @ symbol, CiottiFPV, no spaces, and then tell me what motors you're running on your Acrobat, and I can help you out. So you get on that, and then I'll see it at some point here, and we'll troubleshoot. Mr. Blair, have you tried the VAS Crossfire antenna, VAS 915 MHz X-Fire Pro UFL RC antenna for Crossfire semi-rigid or ultra flex? I have not, Mr. Blair. My antenna setup is pretty boring. The Rapid Fire loves having 2 Omnis. So I have a True RC Singularity Omni all the way up on top, and then I switch back and forth between an Immersion RC Omni and a Menace RC patch. So I have a fairly boring antenna setup. It works really well with the Rapid Fire. All these new antennas are super interesting, but antennas are kind of expensive, and I'm happy with my current setup. So yeah, unless they start coming through for review, I don't know if I'll really be spending any money on antennas until I fly somebody else's rig on one of these fancy new antennas, and it's that much better. The other thing is I fly behind myself a lot, so these new ones with the double patches on the front just wouldn't work for me. I don't know. We'll see. Mr. Tux, that's a great idea. You know what? I need to get one of those bot things set up to like every 10 minutes say exactly what Mr. Tux said, which is tag @ CiottiFPV to ensure that he reads it. Anybody know how to do those bot things in the chat? I'll probably bug Bardwell this week about it, unless one of you guys reach out to me somewhere at CiottiFPV and tell me how to use the bot thingies. Mr. Blair, we got to that. There's just no telling FPV. What up, man? You running the Crossfire Micro, aren't you? And are you still getting fail-safes? I am not. Was thinking of a Crossfire Micro for my QX7 to replace 2.4 gigahertz, but is it really worth it? Yes, it is very, very, very much worth it. The difference between my Crossfire Micro rigs and my FR Sky rigs are real. FR Sky, for me, is the perfect amount of range for micro rigs, where you're flying in smaller spaces. And then Crossfire is for all of my 5-inch rigs. where I want the freedom to be able to send it, 200, 300, 400 yards to a big ass building and dive down the side without any bullshit, without any possibilities of it just slamming into the concrete. So yeah, and it's the micro module is cheap, and the nano module, or the whatever the hell they're called, the $30 receiver modules are cheap too. Yeah, I'm all for it. Real deal Crossfire all day. I had a real bad experience with R9, and I will never try it again. So yeah, real deal Crossfire with a micro module is my preferred little 5-inch rig setup. Phoenix 2 is the same spec, says John Dyson. Good to know on the low light performance. And Freelojo, the FPV one with the Borg for the shirt. I don't know what you're referencing, Freelojo. Firefly first season box set forever. Forever. Yeah, man. All day. One of the very few Blu-rays that I have is the Firefly movie and show, because they are so goddamn good. Black Moses says RC and there it is. RC and Power 1506 3000 kV. Yep, same problem as you are, Black Moses. If you figure out how to fix it, you let me know. I'm pretty sure there isn't a fix for it, but I'm gonna keep trying. For you, for the time being, what you need to do is drop your tune way the hell down. You have to just cripple the tune. Let me show you where I ended up. To give you some idea, this was just starting to be flyable without just kind of oscillating and taking off and flying away all on its own. But this tune still sucked, and I was very unhappy with this tune. But it's as good as I could get in like 5 batteries and not a ton of effort, but a good amount of effort. So the Duo is plugged in with the 1506 motors. Go up here to PID tuning. So here's where I ended up. Oh, can I not zoom on this? What's the keystroke for Apple Zoom? Why do I always forget this keystroke? There it is. So here's where I wound up. This does not handle prop wash well at all. It does not handle. It's just it's a really soft tune. So, and here's the filter settings that I ended up at. Let me zoom this out a little bit for you. This is on 4.1 with the RPM filters turned on. And yeah, I mean, the motors weren't getting super hot. They were getting a little hot. So I didn't really have much. Yeah, they're just too notchy. They just create too many vibrations, and they create the vibrations up really high in the frequencies. So like you can't just move this filtering down to make it better. Because by moving these down, all it does is move the cut point down farther, and that's not where we're having problems with these motors. We're having problems with these notchy motors up in the high frequencies, and the only way to filter that more is to like literally add more notches and add all this shit, but that creates more latency, and latency is a real problem with micros because they're a smaller, lighter weight platform, so they naturally move around quicker. So believe it or not, decreasing, like moving the filtering up is typically more effective at getting the motor temperatures down on micros, just because you're moving it up towards all these higher frequencies where it's going to go anyway. It's like kind of pointless to have your filters drop down, but there's just not a great solution. The solution is flight firmware that's made for these. Like if somebody, well, so let me say this: the RPM filtering is miles better at dealing with the high frequency vibrations of 2-inch, 2.5-inch, 3-inch rigs than any other flight software I've had any experience with. So the RPM filters are a huge step in the right direction, but there's still a limit as to what they can handle, and up until very recently, most of the Betaflight devs were just flying 5-inch rigs. It's within the last probably about a year, maybe 6 months, that some of the really smart Betaflight devs have been building the smaller craft. So I think with each upcoming version of Betaflight, it'll get a little bit better for us. But yeah, it's still a big limiting factor, and unfortunately, we'll just have to continue to buy motors that are smooth as like the main selling point, right? In order to get a good freestyle tune. Solo says, "What's so that's I've lost my place." Mr. Huggy says the usual go-to for 10-inch props is a Brother Hobby 2810. That is one hell of a big motor. Mr. Tuck says, do you have any suggestions for 6S individual ESCs that are cheaper than the Acon 32 in your video description? Just from my experience with Acon stuff, I would stick with I would do the Acon individuals. Yeah, that's the only thing that I'm going to recommend, because I don't have any real experience with individuals. And I'm kind of like weirded out even recommending it because I don't have any experience with the Acon individuals. Yeah, I don't know. Suggesting gear is tough. It really is. And I always try to like over explain it so that you guys don't come back to me like, what the fuck? You said this was going to be good. Because it's expensive. I'm on a budget, just like you guys. Most of you guys, I'm assuming. So if I recommend something that turns out to be shit, I'm gonna feel horrible about that. All right. Darwin H, do you use Crossfire and Rapid Fire? I do. I have just ordered the Rapid Fire module. Yep. They work totally fine together. 900 megahertz and 900 megahertz is what Crossfire functions off of, and then Rapid Fire is on 5.8 gigahertz. So there's no problem between the two. 5:30. I'm gonna get hungry as shit soon. Let's do a half an hour of fixing stuff. Now that I'm caught up in the chat, I don't know how I managed to do that, but looks like Cool Coyote needs to repost something. Tag me in it when you do that. Ethics 1507 Flat Rats are the smoothest 150Xs on the market, hands down. FPV Attitude, do you say that from having tried all the other 1507s? Because I'm actually thinking about doing that. I'm thinking about ordering one of each 1507 to see how they are. My hunch is that they're all exactly the same. All of these 1507s, they all came out at the same exact time, and I've now seen the T-Motors, the Zings, and the Flywoos, and the bell design is a little bit different, but the stators all look completely identical. So my assumption is that someone, maybe my guess would be T-Motor, because T-Motor were the first ones to come out with a 1507. So in theory, T-Motor made a 1507 with the 14 magnet design, designed to be smooth, specifically designed for Cinewhoops, and then licensed that or did something, or maybe they made all these motors and just made them with different bells and everybody just bought this 1507 from T-Motor, or maybe it was some other company. Maybe there's one big... I'm not convinced that there's not one company, because we're a pretty small market. I'm not convinced that there's not one company over in wherever the hell our stuff's coming from, China, Japan, whatever, that makes all of the motors. I'm not convinced that that's not the truth. And so, yeah, all of these 1507s, from what I can see, looking at the stators really close and the winding, they're all the same. And they just have a different bell with a different manufacturer stamped on the side, and little subtle differences here and there. So yeah, I'm super interested if FPV Attitude, if you've bought one of every of the 1507s and sat there and seen which one is smooth, or if you just have heard that they're the smoothest and maybe you got a set and they're really smooth, because there's a big difference between those two things, right? Oh, FPV Attitude says yes. Is yes in reference to you having bought every single one of the 1507s? I think hopefully it is. Sounds like it is. And then it looks like you also said on 4S and 6S, just try them. You're not going to regret it. So where I'm at with 1507s right now is that they all have 2mm motor shafts, and unfortunately, the rigs that you're going to put, so the weight of a rig that's going to require the power that a 1507 produces is 250 plus grams. Quite honestly, it's 300 plus grams. A 250 gram rig on these 1507s is fucking chaos. It is just way too much horsepower. But the 2mm motor shaft that all of these 1507s have is nowhere near durable enough for any kind of a freestyle rig that's 250 plus grams. So I have zero interest in these 1507s at this point because I can't fly them for more than one day without demolishing them. If you hit my channel, I have an edit, a full edit called Destroying a Brand New Set of Zing 1507s in one day or in one session or whatever. And it legitimately took me 4, I think, batteries to completely demolish 2 brand new 1507 Zing motors because of this reason. Because every single crash, even the lighter crashes, were bending those 2mm motor shafts because it's just too heavy. It's just too much weight to be able to deal with that amount of energy coming into the motor without bending the shaft to the point where the motors are completely just useless. The first time you hit it, it bends the shaft and now it wobbles, and now you get jello in the video. And then the second time you hit it, it just jams the magnets in the bell up against the stator poles. So yeah, unfortunately, oh my god, I've been talking on the wrong scene this whole time. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the 1507s. Unfortunately, I just don't have a single rig that it would make any sense to use them on, which is a shame because they're great and they're smooth and they make great power and they're well made. But it's just a mismatch. They're great for cinewhoops where the motor is never going to hit the ground first. But on freestyle rigs, that the motor often does hit the ground first, or the prop, and that puts the energy into the motor. Blah blah blah. Mr. Tux just looked into Nightbot. Adding it to the channel is super easy, and you could add me as a manager so I could set up commands and stuff for it. Tux, do me a favor, message me if there's like some kind of a tutorial or whatever, so I remember, because I'll totally forget to do this. Offline, Facebook, Instagram, wherever, and yeah, we'll make it happen. FPV Attitude saying, yes, you're right, heavy, that's what you got to do. Check out a lightweight Racer X Twig ET5 frame. So for me, the 1507s on a lightweight frame would be super, super, super overkill. I try to fly lower powered rigs so that it forces me to stay closer to objects. Rigs with a shitload of horsepower per weight for the weight of the all-up weight, they're fun, but it's just completely worthless for me personally. I don't like the way that the throttle feels. It makes you have, it makes the throttle sensitivity go to hell, and like every little bit that you move the stick adds a bunch of throttle. So for me, it makes it impossible for me to do stuff like cruising for 20 seconds, like 2 inches off the ground. When the throttle throw has a ton of power in it, trying to do that, I end up making big corrections, because when I move the stick a tiny little bit, it adds a bunch of power, because you know the amount of throw to our throttle stick is static. It's never going to change. So the more power you have in that throw, the less sensitivity. Whereas the less power, the more sensitivity. And for me personally, I prefer setups with a lot of sensitivity, so I can really make these little tiny adjustments to get really close to objects and cruise really low to the ground and stuff like that. So for me, a 1507 doesn't make any sense on a rig that's any less than like 300 grams. And even on a 300 gram rig, those 1507s still make a fuckload of power. So I would actually, if I was going to run a 1507, I would probably need to put it on like a 350 gram rig to get the power to weight ratio to the point where I like it, and I can be nice and sensitive with the throttle and do these, play a game of inches rather than playing a game of feet is something that we used to talk about in motorsports. At the higher level, like at the higher levels, it becomes so. When you start in motorsports, you're trying to come like within 5 feet of the apex. And then as you get better and better, you're trying to get within 1 foot of the apex. And then at a certain point, you're trying to get within inches of that apex. And that's what I'm trying to do with FPV quads as well. I want quads that'll get me to be able to play this game of inches rather than playing this game of feet, or in some cases, tens of feet for some of these unbelievably powerful rigs. So McStarcoin, yeah, definitely still interested in frame design for sure. I just need to find some time to get all my notes in order for you in a way that'll make sense, because the previously these designers, I've been working with them for months, if not years, so we already have like a shorthand in this Google Doc. So I just need to I just got a little bit of work to do, but I'll get it done. Mr. Tux says, I have you on Facebook, message you later tomorrow, but I won't be able to watch the stream tomorrow. That's okay. Appreciate it, Tux. You're the man. Okay, caught up on the chat. 5:43, working on quads until 6. Save the comments until tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Eastern, if you don't mind, because when I'm over here working, it's hard to see the chat since I still only have this one monitor set up, but that'll change soon enough. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's unplug this. Let's fix something so that the title of this stream isn't hideously misleading. So I want to go over here to the bench cam. And, all right, let's go. Oddly, this side of Bot Grinder's magnetic thing is not magnetic, but the back side is magnetic. So I have to flip it over, which is actually kind of fine because then I won't ruin the front side of it, I guess. Duo goes away because that's going to get torn apart. Okay, so I was talking a little bit earlier about prepping these Acon AK-32 ESCs, and let me talk more about that. So, for the second time in about a year of flying these ESCs, for whatever reason, second time in a month that I've managed to break one of them. Up until this point, I have not broken a single one. Let me move the mic closer. That would make an awful lot of sense. So yeah, for a long time, probably in the ballpark of 500 plus batteries, these AK-32s have been completely bulletproof. And they have been for Corey, Cricket FPV as well, which is high praise because arguably Corey crashes harder than I do. He's certainly got more of a budget for this hobby than I do. To give you some idea, he is in the... Last time I talked to him, he was in the 30s, but I think he's now into the 40s of broken and replaced at $50 a pop from Best Buy, Hero 7s. I gave up on the Hero 7 after 6 of them breaking because I just can't afford to be doing $50 per pop at that rate. They're just not durable enough for me. And these are the ESC. These are the only ESCs that Cricket has found that can withstand the abuse. Now, I seem to, since both of these failures, I seem to have found the only flaw in the armor of this ESC. On the top of the ESC, it's as you would expect. Everything is built in, great quality. But on the bottom, they did something a little different. And let me grab one of the broken ones here to show you. So this is one of the broken ones. And I think it's pretty easy to see that there's something missing. And that is this little separate board that they have soldered onto here. Now this board has a 5-volt regulator on it. Let me put it this way. When this board breaks off like it did here, the ESC doesn't turn on at all. You put power to it, nothing happens. So they've got this board soldered on in 6 different spots, which for most people seems to be plenty, and for the better part of a year, for me, was plenty. But I'm going to make it even more durable now but it can break off, as I proved. It only took a 21-story fall to the concrete to do it, which was pretty vicious and broke a lot of other stuff, but it is breakable, as we found out. Oh, and look, the fucking camera body broke on there too. Fucking duck. So what I'm doing now is I'm just running a little bead of epoxy around that board, which I cannot possibly imagine I'll be able to hit hard enough to break. So yeah, that is my new solution to that. I'm pretty sure that in doing that, it's going to make this full-blown indestructible. I have completely coated ESCs in epoxy before, and I didn't have any issues with them overheating or anything like that. I can't speak to putting... I guess there's a chance that by just putting a bead of it like this, maybe it'll make that area get hotter and maybe it'll cause problems, but I really doubt it. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now with these AK-32 ESCs to try to make them a little bit more durable. And this is the most recent rig to break one. What I do also want to call to your attention, though, is that the goddamn Micro Eagle broke on here as well. So I've been having a really hard time with Micro Eagles breaking the body itself. Like that. And like that one. That one's broken too. And this one's broken on both sides, actually. So basically the Micro Eagle is big for a micro camera, and I'm putting this RC25G lens on it, this really wide angle lens, which is beautiful through the goggles, but it's a heavy lens. So I asked Brent from BMC 3D to create this Micro Eagle specific 30-degree fixed up tilt camera mounting TPU thing for me, which is fantastic, and it protects against the camera moving forward because he put a little 45-degree angle in the bottom, which kind of cradles the front bottom of the camera. But what it doesn't protect against is the camera moving backwards, and that is where this one broke. So I thought I had a fairly indestructible camera mounting solution for these Micro Eagles, but apparently not. Apparently I also need to brace this goddamn camera from behind as well as from in front. So what I think I'll try to do that with on this next one is a welder. I think I'll put a little dot of welder on the bottom here, the bottom back of the camera body, against the frame to try to keep the camera from moving backwards, because it looks like that's what broke this one. It either hit and then bounced with enough energy backwards, or I guess technically speaking I could have hit this lens on something, although I think that it would leave a bigger dent than this tiny little dent. That's annoying. More R&D, yo. Although I was talking to Nick Burns last night about all these new nano cameras, and they're looking pretty impressive, man. If I don't know, if we can get these nano cameras to the point where they're as good as this Micro Eagle, I'm down. I mean, I would love to save a little bit of weight too. This little camera setup is kind of heavy. It's I want to say it's like 12 grams with the, don't quote me on that, but yeah, it's a little heavy, especially with this wide angle lens. Cool Coyote says, what are your favorite 2-inch motors. I don't have any right now because I haven't been flying 2-inch. I've been flying 2-inch for the last like month since Emax very kindly sent me this Tiny Hawk 2 race. Shout out to Emax for believing in the Ciotti collective. But before that, it had been like 2 years since I flew 2-inch rigs. So, in terms of which like manufacturer, like which specific current motor, I can't tell you that. What I can tell you though is way back when I was flying 2-inch a lot, the motor size that I settled on was 1104 and or 1105. That was the best motor that I found on 2 and 3S to carry the weight of a sub 100 gram all up 2-inch rig. Nowadays, those rigs are a little bit lighter, and the Emax Tiny Hawk Race 2 ships with an 1103 with 1103 7500 kV motors, and they're great. They're a little bit underpowered, which is why I previously preferred the 1104 1105s, but they do feel better than they used to, just because the rigs are lighter nowadays. That being said, after I do the review, which I really need to do, like this week, on that Tiny Hawk Race 2, I'm finally at a point where I've flown it enough where I have some good footage and I feel comfortable enough talking about the flight dynamics and shit like that. After I get that review done, because Emax did ask me to review it on this with the stock settings, the stock hardware, I should say. Once that review is done, I'm going to start modding it. And the first set of motors that I have to try on there are 1202 and a half. I do have a set of DAB motors, 1104 7500s, which I will try on there because I think those will be really, really good. But I really like, first of all, I really like it on these 1103 7500s. It's really good. The balance of power to weight to like intended usage, right? Like this is a 2-inch rig. We're not going to send it across a big field. This is for flying around the house, in your backyard, in a small park, in small spots. If you're flying this rig in a big spot, you're doing it wrong, in my opinion. And these 1103s are really, really good. Like, I've been flying it out in front of my apartment where there's these big-ass trees, which you'll get to see that flight footage in the actual review stream that I do, hopefully this week. And it's so good. Oh, my God. Like, the fact that it doesn't have a ton of power is perfect because that means that, like, everything... It forces you to, like, use smaller stuff, so like everything kind of becomes bigger, and you do have to fly it that way, right? Like you do have to kind of stay closer to objects, but that's the point. Like if you're trying to fly in a small space, yeah, I want to stay closer to objects, and it really allows you to do that. So I'm very interested to see how these 1202 and a halves are going to be. I think that might be really good. I think that these 1104s might actually be a little bit too much because it is meant to be a lightweight rig. The frame is very light. And yeah, so I have some guesses, but we won't know for sure until we start to swap parts over. So stay tuned for that. Try to get that done this week, like I said. And then we can swap those motors over. Cool. Got the junk off of the McStarCone asks, what size cap is that in the back? This is 1000 UF, which is supposedly overkill for 5-inch rigs. Supposedly all you need is like a 330 or a 470. But this is the only capacitor that you can get these super cool stickers for. So screw it. I'll run too much capacitance because it lets me run a cool sticker. And if you don't like that, then screw you. Whoever you are that doesn't like cool stickers. Okay, so last night I got this thing desoldered from the motors because I thought that would be the easiest way to pick this thing up. So here's the other one that I broke that board off of. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to try to solder the board right back on there. And if it works, I will then epoxy this board on here, and all will be right with the world, and I will be very excited about that. So the question becomes, can I get this ESC rotated around in this frame in a way that I can kind of solder to it? Oh, by the way, Tiago, I took my soldering iron all apart. I cleaned the ceramic element. I used toothpicks. I jammed them down the. It's fucked. It's just. I think it's just old. And it is. It is very old. This soldering iron is probably like 20 years old, and God knows I mistreated it because I didn't know how to solder for the longest time, and that was what spurred me on to get that order in with Pyrodrone last night to get a new soldering iron. But I am really excited. By the way, pardon my disgustingly mangled hands. I've had a really rough week with like getting injured on my hands. This horribleness is from the cat. I pushed him a little bit too far and annoyed him a little bit too much, and he bit the shit out of me. And then my thumb is always jacked up because my anxiety comes out and I bite my fingernails like a crazy person. And then yesterday, I was trying to drill out one of these micro eagles, and I hammered a fucking electric drill into my finger good and hard, and that shot blood everywhere. That was pretty awesome. But yeah, excuse the sorry state of my of my hands at the moment. I promise you won't get herpes through the stream. And just come on. There we go. Okay, so this is going to be good. This is like roughly... This is almost... I can almost get it onto... Oh, I can. Oh, yeah. Now we're talking. That's nice and solid. Good, good, good. Okay, so we're going to put this board down here. And this is going to be tough. I should probably put a smaller tip on for this, but I don't have good luck with the smaller tips on the soldering iron, so maybe I'll just try to finagle it a little bit. So I want to get it on there dead straight, and then I'm going to masking tape it down so that it doesn't move. That's the smart thing to do. Masking tape is your friend when you're working on quads. 1,000,001 uses. A lot of people like to use Funtac, which I've used a good amount. That's what I used first. What drives me insane about the Funtac is that when you get it hot, it gets real stringy and horrible. So yeah, I don't use it very often. Oh god, it would help if you guys saw what the hell I was up to. Let me give you a little bit of zoom too. Yeah, it is kind of falling apart inside, Tiago. There were like springs that I could tell shouldn't have been loose that were loose. It's all jacked up. ESK Ray says, have you tested that Racer Star flight controller yet? Which one? Ask this round one. I don't really think I'm going to use this. I think I'm just going to keep this as a funny little funny. And I see that there's other comments, but I do want to get some of this work done. So I'm going to back off on the comments. I'm going to zoom this in for you guys so that you can hopefully see a little bit better. And I'm going to try to at least get one thing done, and then I'll hit the comments before the end of the stream. All right, so let's see if I can get these 3 solder joints back to full strength. And let me do this. And I'm also kind of playing around with a different soldering, different approach to, well, I'll just show you guys what I mean. Previously, I would handhold the solder and then add it, and then drop the solder, pick up the tweezers, and move things around if I needed to. But I realized I can just hold the solder with the tweezers. And this is a really good example of where that might work really well. So, heat on the joint, adding solder, and then if I need to, I just drop the solder, and now I have my tweezers to kind of scooch stuff around. So that looks really good. That went really well. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe this will be my new super secret soldering method, holding the solder with the skinny tweezers. I think I do need to. I have a big long piece of solder right now, and that's no good. I need to cut the solder a little bit shorter, but live and learn. Get that on there. Yeah, that looks good too. Well, shit. I thought this was going to be a pain in the ass. This isn't that bad. Look at that. 3 up, 3 down. All right. Let's do the other 2 on top. Hopefully the masking tape doesn't rip the board off. Ugh, cool. All right. Let's do the other 3. And I mean, I already praised this Acon stuff enough, but if this fires right back up, which I bet you it does, yeah, I mean, come on. Can't tell me that's not impressive. A big part of the board broke off, and we're about to just have fixed it, possibly. How can I get you guys to see that? There we go. Okay. Let me, since I don't really, so usually I need the tweezers in my left hand for holding the wires down, but since I've masking taped the movable thing, I'm gonna do handheld with the solder this time to see what the difference is. So one of the things I like about handheld is I can put my ring finger down on a surface as like a point of as like a physical point of contact, which is good. So let's see how it is with hand holding the solder. Yeah, it's just as good. I mean, arguably it's better. So I guess if I'm not doing something that's involving holding wires, I'll still handhold the solder. Alright, that one looks good. Nope, nope, nope. That did not stick. That was weird. Oh, I should be fluxing this. I'm stupid. When you're soldering little stuff like this, your flux pen is even more important. That was a definite oversight on my part. There we go. So that should be a lot better. Clean the tip. Problem is the little pads sometimes will really not want to pick the heat up. They will really not want to transfer heat, and then the solder doesn't stick to them. So let's try this again. And that's what was happening here. And there is flux in the fresh solder that I'm feeding in, but sometimes it's not enough. Man, this one's really giving me trouble. It really does not want to stick. The solder really doesn't want to stick to that bottom pad. Let's try this one next to it. Interesting. Let me give it a little more time. Well, let me clean the tip of the solder iron. There's a little bit too much solder piling up on there. All right, let's try this again, and I'm just gonna leave the heat on it this time, which could blow it up, but it also could be. So what might be happening is that the pad that the solder doesn't want to stick to right now is on the main part of the ESC. So that could be soaking up all the heat. And then it's sticking fine, and that's exactly what it was. Yep, I just needed to leave the heat on there longer. So high-level soldering becomes about, and I'm not a high-level solderer, but my father is. He's been an electrical engineer for, Christ, 30-plus years. He tells me the super ninja solderers get really good at figuring out where the heat is going. So you put the soldering iron down and you're transferring heat. And that's all that you're really doing is transferring heat. Like, that's the whole point of the soldering iron. It's not to push the wires down into place. It's not to do any of this other shit. It's to just put heat exactly where you want it. But here in the world, heat travels, right? Like, it travels. Heat moves around. It transfers. So as soon as you put the tip of the soldering iron down, heat is going to want to start moving around. And high-level soldering is apparently really based around that concept of, like, because I guess the tough soldering joints, the ones that the jackasses like me can't handle, are the ones where you have to think about this kind of stuff. And so yeah, there's that. So let me, if I plug it in right now, I won't really be able to tell if it's good because I desoldered all the motors. So let me just really quickly solder one of these motors up, and now you guys will get to see this this double-handed method that I'm talking about here. So I put the solder to my left. How can I do this and you guys still see it? All right, I think that's about right. So I put the solder either in front of me or to my left so it's easily grabbed by the tweezers. And I'm going to take the wire and the tweezers with my left hand. I'm going to hold the wire where I want it. Now, the thing that I told you guys never to do, I'm going to do, but just a little bit. I'm going to use the tip of the soldering iron to hold this wire down in place so I can let go of it, and I don't need to because there's enough solder here. But if there wasn't enough solder there, what I could do is hold the wire down with the tip of the iron real gently, release it with the tweezers, come over and grab the solder with the tweezers, add a little bit of solder, drop the solder, get back onto the wire, remove the heat, and hold the wire in place until the solder cools. These joints all have a good amount of solder on them, so I probably won't have to do that, but that is my new little approach to soldering wires in a situation where I need to add more solder, of which these 3 wires are not the case. All right, and the third one. So this might be one where I need a little bit more solder, especially because the tip's starting to get dirty. Yeah, see, so it's not melting. I'm going to grab my solder, hold it in place, add it, add a little bit. That's going to aid in the heat transfer. There it goes. Throw the solder, grab the wire, put it in position, fuck it up, fix it. God damn it. Hold on. Let's fix this so it doesn't look like a bag of shit. Alright, so now I'm struggling again. There it goes. It's flowed a lot better that time. There it is. Flow on the pad. The pad's flowing. And get it in the right spot. Remove the heat. So, food for thought. Let's see what happens when we put power to this. Get in your bets if it's going to blow up or if it's going to work. If you guess right, then you win in life. Okay, let's just go directly to a 6S battery. Why not? TBS, TBS smoke stopper. This is the one to get, in my opinion. It has XT30 and XT60. And the other smoke stopper that I previously had caught on fire. And this one did not. They were plugged into the same situation, which was 6S going into ground and positive leads that were bridged. And yeah, this one survived and the other one didn't. So, yeah, this is the right one. Why the hell is this so tight to plug in? That's weird. All right, you guys ready? Let's see if it blows up. First, let's make sure that none of these are touching anything dangerous. Yeah, it looks fine. Let's see. It's going to power up. It's going to be fine. Yep. Totally fine. All right, let's go for 6S. Of course it's fine, because Acon ESCs are magical mystery lovelies. Here we go. If it's going to go, it's going to go now. 3, 2, 1. Didn't blow up immediately. That's good. Good to go! Acon ESCs for life, motherfuckers. There you have it. I do that quick plug and unplug thing just so that in case it does blow up, it doesn't blow up and then shoot fire in my face. Not because I'm a spaz. I mean, I am a spaz, but, you know. Okay, so I fixed something. I still need to flip this over and I want to epoxy that piece on the bottom of this. So that's not really super interesting. Although, I mean, I guess we're here. What time is it? 6:15? Yeah, I mean, I am getting hungry, but this is how much I love you guys. I'm going to do it. I am going to have to desolder these three, though, and that's very annoying. Because I need it to be flat. So let's just do that real quick. I will mix up a batch of epoxy just for you guys and just show you what I'm doing. This is also good for like I've fixed these broken camera. Oh wait, you know what? I will wait to do it because we will fix a bunch of these cameras at the same time. Okay, yeah. Although, do I not have any working rigs right now? No, I guess I do. I guess I have one rig that works still. Yeah, Brian, the smoke stoppers are not foolproof. You can still cook flight controllers using them, but they're a lot better than not using anything. So that sucks, dude, that happened to you. But it would have been way worse if you hadn't been using one. You might have gotten hurt. Yeah, because I got to fix this camera too. Okay, so either tomorrow night or maybe on a corn stream, I'll mix up a big batch of epoxy and I will do this ESC, I will do this camera, and I will do these 3 other cameras that I have up here. So we'll have a fucking epoxy party this week. But for right now, I'm going to get some food and relax. And I was going to go fly. Yeah, maybe I'll go fly. I want to spend some time with the Acrobrat before I pull it apart and start swapping stuff. So thanks for hanging, everybody. F15 puts me back here. Yeah, thanks for hanging, my friends. You guys are the best. Let me give you a little bit more light on my stupid face. There we go. Good news. My father bought me the top 4 things on my wish list, on my Amazon wish list for my birthday, April 17th. And one of those things was a really nice LED, constant on LED video light that I'm going to be able to put, I think I'm going to be able to put like perfectly right here. It'll be like triple the size of a light source. So it'll be an even softer, more pleasing light on this side of my goddamn face. And it'll eliminate the need to use these 2 strip lights here. So I can use one of them permanently for the workbench here, and the other one I can do something fun with, like a rim light. So yeah, my silly face will be looking a little bit better soon. If any of you guys are interested in like lighting for stills or for video or for live streams or shit like that, tell me, and I'll do a stream about it. My photography experience is, I didn't mean to just give you guys the finger. I was just looking at my fucked up finger. So I spent 5 or 6 years in photography in like the early 2000s, shooting all natural light. And then one day I finally said, screw it, let me learn off-camera lighting. And something clicked with off-camera lighting, and I just kind of fell in love with lighting more so than photography, if I'm completely honest. I've worked on a couple of independent films to run all of their lighting as like lighting tech, lighting guy, whatever. And yeah, I really love it, and it's why this looks the way that it does. As an example, if I lose all of the lights that I've added that I can control, it looks terrible, right? So then it's like, oh, we'll just turn on a room light. So let's do that. We'll turn on the room light, right? And it still looks horrible because I'm the subject, right? So the light that I get is the most important thing. Now, I've got 2 big ass windows wide opened, and it's still pretty much daylight. I've got my regular old room light that's over there that, you know, I turn on when I enter the room. But other than like the monitor, the white light from the monitor, there's nothing on my face, right? Like you don't light your own face at your computer, right? Like when I have these lights on, it sucks. I'm like, I have a little bit of like, from bright lights on my face, but it doesn't matter, right? So things like controlling the light, controlling the spill of the light, the color temperature of the light, the color of the light. Yeah, these are all things that I've spent a lot of time figuring out. And if you guys want to do a stream that looks good, right, that people can actually watch, because it does make a difference. And this is like my shitty lighting setup, right? Monday nights when there's no daylight, that's when I do the fancy lighting with some red on this side usually and some purple on this side. You know, I turn the lava lamp all the time, right? On all the time, and the lava lamp is like reddish orange, but if you own a lava lamp, you know that they don't put off much light. Well, the whole right side of this frame on Monday nights is red. And that's not from the lava light, because the lava light doesn't put much light out. How do I point at it? What do I do with my finger to point at it? There it is. The lava lamp doesn't put out much light. I have a separate light source over there with a red specific light to mix with the lava lamp to throw red light on this side of the frame, so it to fake it and to make it look like the lava lamp is pouring this nice red light into this whole side of the room, but it's not, right? Shit like that, little tricks like that can make a big difference with lighting. And yeah, like I said, if you guys want to learn more about it, let me know, and I'll talk more about it, or just ask questions and I'll go on rants like this. All right, getting caught up in the chat, and then I'm out of here. It's 6:20. I'll be out of here by 6:30. You guys got 10 minutes. Darwin wants a photography stream. If I get another, Darwin, ask all the questions you want. I'm always willing to talk about it. If we get a little bit more interest, maybe I'll do a whole stream on it. Athix asks, how is the glide hammer frame? It is in a bag over there. Needs to be built. I can't wait to build it, but I have a lot of like repair. I try to do repair stuff before scratch builds just to get some of this stuff back up in the air. So, for UFPV, I'm going to read the comments from the bottom to the top just to make it weird. For UFPV says, just aren't pushing the connection. Wait, what? Just aren't pushing the connection with the solder. Bubble is only hitting one component, even if the iron is flowing both. I think you were talking about what I was doing there, and I was making sure that the bubble of solder was hitting both pads. It was just the main part of the board was wicking away all that heat that I was putting into that pad, because it's a great big, it's a great big heat sink, basically. S. Grace says, okay. Tiago says, I can imagine it was falling apart inside your soldering iron. I mean, Darwin H says, do you have a parts list for a 2-inch? I do not. But what you would basically want to do is get one of these all-in-one boards because they're the lightest possible way of getting ESC and flight controller on board. And then, the camera of your choice, the Runcam Nano 3 seems to be the jam in terms of cameras. And then VTX, I would do like an Eachine Nano. I have that down there. I think that's the lightest of the VTXs. It's pretty much a full build right there. I think that's about it. All right. Freelojo, is running a bigger capacitor dangerous for other electronics? Absolutely not. There's no such thing as too big of a capacitor, although as I say that, they get heavy when they get bigger. So yeah, there is such thing as too big of a capacitor, but in terms of capacitance, there's no such thing as too much capacitance. The capacitance is the UF rating. It's how much work, I guess we could say, the capacitor is able to do. Parts list for 2-inch, talked about that. Size of the cap in the back, Racer RFC yet. Tux looked into it a bit more. Don't think it's possible to do a timestamp thing in Nightbot, but there is a plugin for OBS. Speaking of OBS plugins, the previously PC only version of OBS with all the cool bells and whistles and shit is now available for Mac. So that is what I'm going to be doing on this laptop from the jump. So yeah, coming soon. And plugin for OBS where you could hit a hotkey and OBS would save the timestamp to a text file. Ooh, that's cool. But not sure if you could label the timestamps that way. So it looks like I'll just have to rely on you guys for the timestamps, which, I mean, I hope you guys are cool with. I do try to, like, involve you guys, right? Like, I mentioned a lot on the streams that the chat comes with this, and so people watching this, these live streams get about 1,000 views total. So with 80 to 100 of you guys hanging out during the stream, that means it's getting rewatched like 900 times, and you guys are here. Like the chat is with that forever, I think, with the live streams. So I try to do stuff that involves you guys a little bit because you are here with me. This is me hanging out with you guys. I'm the one with the mic and the camera, but you guys have a keyboard, so sound off, right? Be involved and yeah, do some work for me. Although, I don't know, maybe you guys finding the timestamps is cool because, like, maybe it's a little tiny tip halfway through that you thought only applied to you, or I don't know. Maybe make a game out of it. Do whatever the hell you want. If you guys want to do it, awesome. If not, I get it. But I could really use the help. So I'll ask, please, guys, help a brother out. When there's a cool timestamp to a cool piece of tech advice, go to the comments or the Patreon post I made last night or yesterday, whenever it was. And call that timestamp out so I can add it to the description and make these videos or make these live streams easier for people to find shit in. TweetFPV is here, and he's interested in a camera lesson. You've just reminded me, Tweet, that I forgot to give shout-outs to my wonderful friends, sponsors, a little bit of both. TweetFPV makes the most excellent of skateboard grip tape, transmitter, grip jib jabs. And now he's got stickers. There it is. Boom. TweetFPV. Look him up on Instagram or on Etsy and get you a set of transmitter, grip tape, flib flabs. FPV Cycle is Kebab, FPV, Bob Rugi's wonderful little site. If you want anything Toothpick, go to this website and buy it there from the originator. Please do everybody a favor. This is Ron DeLeos, the FPV geek. He made a switch for your Fat Sharks, and it works fucking great. And it's really cheap, and you should buy it. FPV geek, Ron DeLeos. Super cool dude. Stan FPV, another super cool dude, making them amazing ducts. Yes, they're expensive, but my God, do they work well. Quieter, more efficient than all the other ducts out there that Kebab has tested. That makes it worth the money, in my opinion. And his ducts can be put onto regular old rigs, so you can turn any rig into a Cinewhoop. BMC 3D. Brent is the man. He's making the best 3D printed stuff from TPU on the internet, in my opinion. Show him some love. His stuff rules. Tell him Ciotti sent you. Tell all these guys that Ciotti sent you. Super Deluxe has been sending me stickers just for funsies, and I keep showing them on the stream and putting them into packages that I'm packing up to send to you guys. What the hell? You want to get a little bit of exposure? Some free web exposure? Send me shit, and I'll I'll hold it in front of the camera. I don't care, man. You guys are awesome. I want to support you guys as much as you support me, and sometimes I think of ways to do that. So there we go. Also, big shout out to Emacs. They are the newest member of the Ciotti Collective family. They sent over the Tiny Hawk Race 2, which I owe them a what's the word? Review on. There we go. Beta FPV has sent me over some cool stuff that I need to review, and Banggood as well. Get FPV, of course. You guys love them. I think that's about it. Let's wrap this fucker up. 6:28. Look at that. Almost perfect. Brandon Bentley, do you like Crazy Bee Pro or light Beta FPV AIO boards? Brandon, I have not tested enough of them to be able to give you an answer. All I can say is I like the newbie drone one, which I don't know if you can buy separately quite yet, but I'm sure you will be at some point. It's got the VTX built in, and it doesn't blow up like the Mobula 6 AIO. License to drive. Yeah, do a section in future stream about photography and lighting, etc. Cool. So we got interest. Freelojo, we like learning. It doesn't matter what we're learning. Hell yeah, I love it. Free. Love it free. Brandon again says, best AIO board for 1S Toothpick 2S. For 1S, I'm hoping that the best board is the lightweight 1S only Beta FPV board. But I haven't used it yet, so I can't really say. Brandon, I'm going to refer you back to that newbie drone board because it's the only of these AIO really lightweight tiny whoop focus boards that will do 1S and 2S. All the other ones are 1S only. So yeah, I think that newbie drone board is going to be... I like it. It's the one that I like the best so far. Okay, Rob Axelson. Oh yeah, 4UFPVs talking about that 30 amp board on Pyrodrone site. That was another thing that I got on the Pyrodrone site last night was the 20 amp version just because it was so light. It was like $32 for the AIO. Might blow up right out of the box. You get what you pay for a lot of times. So I don't have high hopes, but it was cheap enough where I said, let's give it a shot. Doom239 thanking me for all of your hard work. Doom239, thank you for appreciating that hard work and saying that. That's what matters to me. And all you guys are really, really cool about stuff like that. Just yeah, it means a lot. And it motivates me in times where the asshole part of my brain is taking away all of that motivation. So thanks very much for that, guys. Rob Axelson fixed his death spin by driving it directly into the concrete. That's one way to fix it. Rob Axelson is in, calling out the timestamps. Much appreciated. Athix with the last question. Quad 66 has a lot of knowledge on the AIO boards. Athix, I'm going to make you a mod. Hurry up. You have less than a minute to link to Quad 66. Making you a mod. You drop the link, and I'm going to unmod you. So go as fast as you can. I know there's a delay here, so I got to stall a little bit. License to Drive says he has another Emacs Hawk 5 arriving next week. Wondering what camera to put in it since Rapid Fire in Mode 1 doesn't like the stock Foxier when it comes with. License, that's one of the reasons I've moved over to run cams almost exclusively because of the Rapid Fire pains in the ass. Brandon Bentley echoing that Quad 66 is rad. Sounds like I might have to be... When you guys suggest people like this, I will message them like on Facebook and just... Because I want to groupthink this, right? So I need to know all these other smart people. So yeah, sounds like I'll be talking to Quad 66 this week. And I also need to figure out how to... I want to start bringing guests onto the stream. So I got to figure out Skype or whatever the hell people are using to have guests on. Athix, hurry up. Give me that Quad 66 link. Ugh. You're on the clock. I'm out of here, guys. My voice is starting to go. Got to preserve some voice for tomorrow night. We fixed an AK-32. That was pretty cool. Did you put it on Discord? All right, cool. Thanks for that, Doom339. Thanks for the kind words, Ask Grace. I'm going to call it there. Chat is officially dead. Not reading any of the rest of the chat. You guys rule. Thanks for coming by. Tomorrow night at 10, things happen. You guys know what's up. Tomorrow night at 10, giveaway stream and Discord, Patreon, all kinds of good stuff. Yeah. Be good, everybody. Get out and fly. Later.